G'day and welcome to DV Prevention 360. Thanks for joining us tonight on what is a national conversation about the epidemic of domestic and family violence in Australia. But more than that, it's a national conversation about prevention and early prevention. And we're really wanting to shift the focus to prevention rather than always talking about response, hence the 360. So we're really giving the state of prevention in Australia a 360 review tonight. It's all about ending domestic violence before it even begins. Tonight is not going to be one of those gotcha nights or lots of finger pointing and negativity, but it's really taking a positive and proactive and practical look at what people are already doing and what's working. And we've called this Community Voices Bringing Fresh Solutions. So you won't see some of the usual suspects. We don't need political promises tonight or academic theories or people getting outraged. There's plenty of other events where you can see that if you want to. But tonight really is about giving community a voice. We want to hear from people that are on the ground and engaging in this area. And we've got some amazing panels tonight. You'll hear tonight from our police panel. We've got some ex-police and currently serving police that are going to be just giving us the lowdown, really spilling the tea on what actually happens when they go out to a DV call out. Maybe there'll be a few surprises. In fact, that's what I'll be asking them. We've got some lawyers coming in and giving us a lowdown on what's happening with law around DV. What are some of the challenges that we're seeing? And I'm also talking to some former counsellors and current counsellors, but particularly counsellors that have been involved in the DV space and working with abusers. And we're going to be talking about what works in that space and what really doesn't work. We're looking at prisons and corrections. We're talking to church leaders. First up, we're also going to be talking to some people that know what's happening in the homelessness space. We'll get to that in a moment. We've got some great musicians coming in, some amazing people very soon, in fact, and they're going to be bringing their offerings tonight just to give us a bit of a deeper understanding as the arts often can do in a way that can get through to us in a whole different way. We're going to have some brave people that are going to be sharing their personal stories of personal transformation and change. Really looking forward to those. So this is an important national conversation, but more than that, it's also about raising funds for early prevention. We're putting our money where our mouth is tonight, not just talking about prevention, but actually supporting it. So there's a link there on the screen for where you can go to find out more about that. And we'd love you to give. Our target tonight is we would love to raise $10,000 to help get the Circuit Breaker program out to more communities. And you'll hear tonight of what a difference it's making in these lives. So can you just take a moment to please share, like, invite. Let's tell everybody about this conversation tonight. And we'd love to hear your comments. If you're watching, please drop a comment in. And we would love to hear you say hi, and also why domestic violence prevention is so important to you, why you've chosen to join us. Without any more ado, I want to introduce our first guests from our panel. We're going to be speaking about domestic violence and homelessness. And the reason we're talking about this, of course, is I don't know if you knew this, but the majority of homelessness in Australia is actually caused by domestic and family violence. So most people who are homeless, a 2013 figure from the Drug and Alcohol Council of Australia said that it was up to 75%. That's a big number. We have an epidemic of homelessness, but we also have an epidemic of domestic and family violence. So I'd love to introduce you to a couple of my friends. Jason Lokes. Jason Lokes and his wife Lisa are the founders of Sheltered by Grace. It's an important shelter in the city of Logan, Queensland, my city. And they have a special focus on people experiencing homelessness, mental illness, disability, and domestic violence. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Our other guest is Mark Matthews. Mark was one of the founders of Coach Community Mentoring Program. He brings senior experience from the Victoria's housing sector been involved in implementing and managing housing projects, and Mark also now heads up empowered faith communities, where he's often face to face with people facing the difficult challenges of homelessness. Welcome, Mark Matthews.
G'day, Matty. How are you? G'day, Jason. Good to meet you, mate.
Yeah, good.
Great. Jason, I was wondering if I could start with you, mate. And I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about Sheltered by Grace and what kinds of folks that you're working with there in the community.
Yeah, look, we've been operating for 16 years now and housing homeless men and women. And at first, we were so naive. We thought it was just going to be easy. We could just start to house them and look after their most basic needs. But it soon became quite evident that we had to do a lot of mental health help around them with trauma, with domestic violence, with chronic mental health issues. That stat you're talking about, 75% with DV, it's pretty well known. It's about 80% in the industry for chronic mental health, domestic violence, and a lot of other cultural issues as well that just makes homelessness so prevalent with our poor in our country. So, yeah, we do everything we can to get these people healed. We were the first to have a common ground model in Australia, and it's brilliant. We're a one-stop shop, and we do everything we can to get those people well in-house. We provide all the services, social working, the whole lot.
It's amazing work you're doing, Jason and Lisa, and I've certainly referred a few people to you guys, and they've been very well cared for. Hey, Mark, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about EFC and what kinds of folks that you're working with there in empowered faith communities there in Victoria and around Australia.
Thanks, Matt. Really appreciate that. So, in a nutshell, empowered faith communities are safe places, hopefully, for people that are on the margins, that might not think that finding a place in community within a mainstream church context would be their first sort of step into a safe, healthy, interdependent sort of community space. So we're pitching these faith spaces to people that are predominantly experiencing some form of poverty, looking like homelessness, some of the stuff that Jason's just touched on.
Yeah.
Homelessness and domestic and family violence just doesn't sit in a silo from other issues. So as you've suggested, Jason, mental health issues, addiction sort of problems, they go hand in hand with all of these issues. So empowered faith communities are really creating safe, inclusive spaces, Matt, for people that are experiencing those sorts of problems. I think I saw a comment already on the screen expressing the horror at the significance of that connection between domestic and family violence and homelessness. And I think, Matt, I think it was Jason. No, it was you, Matt. You said that 75% of people who are experiencing homelessness have come through the pathway of domestic violence, which I think is absolutely right. I think the Australian Institute of Health and Welfare also would suggest that that's correct. But, a horrifying element to that is the significance of children in families, so children under the age of 18 that are presenting as a direct consequence of domestic and family violence. So empowered faith communities trying to sort of be a positive space in that part of our community.
Wow, it's amazing work that you've done, Mark, and I'm as you know, I've come and seen it firsthand, and so impressed what you're doing down there on the Mornington Peninsula and indeed around Australia. Jason, I wanted to ask you a question, mate. You're doing something really unique there at Sheltered by Grace in that I know that you were possibly the first to have a particular homelessness space for men who were victims of domestic and family violence. And even as I say that, I'm imagining some people rolling their eyes and thinking, oh, yeah, men aren't really victims. But what was it that you were seeing that made you realise that there was a need in that space, mate?
We started this journey 26 years ago. Our mate became homeless with his two young daughters. and the whole system was geared around helping women. Department of Housing, unfortunately, just they couldn't help him. He said, if you're wearing a skirt, we can help you. We've got funding, but we've got nothing for housing for men with their 2 young daughters. So we went down the rabbit hole with this lovely man. He did get full custody of his 2 daughters, but it was a 3-year process. And we just got a passion for helping the underdog. I think that's the Aussie spirit. And so my personal experience growing up, my mum was very unhealthy mentally, and she caused a lot of physical violence, on the 3 of us kids, as well as the impact that she's still having today because she still hasn't sought treatment. So it's a huge issue, mental health, and it leads to drug and alcohol and domestic violence. Those 3 all is what we normally see from an average client coming in our door. What we're seeing at the moment is more coercive control from women towards their partners. So
and
that's
of course
huge issue.
You have a space for women as well, and
we've always housed men and women. We've never,
and we're not minimising the need for that, are we?
Not at all.
No,
certainly,
that's right.
when men can certainly do more physical damage to women. There's no arguments there, and we certainly care for all of them the same way. But we've done another first about 3 years ago, opening a dedicated DV centre for men, and there's some horror stories of how badly they've either been just coercive behaviour or coercive control or just physical abuse. Yeah,
and I understand you've seen that. You were telling me partners are turning up before you had the designated space. They were turning up to Sheltered by Grace and laying into the men. We've only seen women assaulting their men. So we've in 16 years, and you see a lot of it on social media these days, where husbands might be teasing their wives, but the wives go straight to throwing stuff at them or hitting them. Even though a woman can't normally harm a bloke, it's not a good sign. I think roles are reversed now. I think it's almost socially acceptable for a woman to hit their husbands. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of, at least online and on the front line as well. Okay. Yeah, well, it's
very controversial.
As we said, it certainly goes both ways. And back to homelessness, Mark, I was just wondering if you've identified any, in your extensive experience in this space and many parts of the homelessness space, any sort of service gaps or perhaps gaping opportunities for actually prevention rather than things always having to get to chaos?
Yeah, well, actually, I love, just before I answer that question, I will answer that. I love what you're suggesting, Maddie, that we need to be thinking more in a preventative sort of space. And at one point in time in my career in Melbourne, I was managing some of the bigger crisis accommodation services that were provided to people experiencing homelessness. And I'll say this, that we did a little bit of research. So connecting this homelessness with domestic violence, and as you said, 75%, that 75% figure. What I can tell you is this, that we did some research in our organisation. It's probably 20 years old, but I don't think the research will be so out of date. Our research was telling us that if we could work in a preventative way to prevent people from becoming homeless, we've connected that with domestic violence. It was 5 times more.
We're really losing you there, Mark. You're dropping out a fair bit, mate.
Hopefully I'm okay, mate, now.
Yep.
Anyway.
Sorry, you were breaking up and we were missing that. Hey, guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We're actually out of time already, believe it or not. It's been a fascinating discussion. And thank you so much for being a part of DV Prevention 360.
Thanks, Matt.
My pleasure, Matt.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We are now going to hear from our first of our musical acts tonight, How are we doing there, folks? Sorry, we are. Yep, great. Okay, sorry about that. We're just working a few things out as we go. But as you can see, there's one of our musical acts tonight, Olive and Oak from Ipswich in Queensland. Much loved group, and they're bringing us a song tonight. So I just wanted to have a quick chat first. So what's been happening, Olive and Oak? What's been happening for you guys?
Yeah, we're a pretty new kind of group. We just kind of got started. We've done a couple of little fundraising kind of opportunities, which has been really exciting. But we're just kind of on Instagram at the moment and slowly starting to build stuff. I think we booked our first wedding on the weekend, so that was really exciting. But we're just three passionate musicians that want to bring what we've been given to steward. So yeah.
Fantastic. And we really appreciate having you tonight. I wonder if you could just share with us why this has been important for you to be involved in this DV Prevention 360 tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to sing a song tonight from Alec Benjamin, and it's called Must Have Been the Wind. And it's a particularly personal song for me. I didn't hear it until my husband introduced me to it, but I really believe that I wouldn't be here without a neighbour who heard and then approached the situation with some curiosity instead of judgment. And it talks about how we can all play a little bit of a part in keeping each other safe. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, let's throw it over to you. And ladies and gentlemen, Olive and Oak.
Thank you. Tricks on you, my sweater zipped up to my chin. Thanks for caring, so that's nice of you, but I have to go back in. Wish I could tell you about the noise, but I didn't hear a thing. Said it must have been the wind, must have been the wind, must have been the wind, it must have been the wind. Said it must have been the wind, must have been the wind, must have been the wind, it must have been the wind.
So I was laying on the floor of my room, cold concrete on my back. No, I just couldn't shake the feeling. Didn't want to intrude, cause I knew that I didn't have all the facts. I couldn't bear the thought of leaving her. So I took the elevator to the second floor. Walked down the hall and then I knocked upon my door. She opened up and asked about the things I've been hearing. She said,
I think your ears are playing tricks on you. My sweater zipped up to my chin. Thanks for caring, sir, that's nice of you, but I have to go back in. Wish I could tell you about the noise, but I didn't hear a thing. I said it must have been the wind, must have been the wind, must have been the wind, it must have been the wind. I said it must have been the wind, must have been the wind, must have been the wind, it must have been the wind.
Aim my boombox at the roof, I'm playing lean on me, just so that she knows that she can lean on me. And when she hears the words, I hope she knows
I'll be okay.
Aim my boombox at the roof, I'm playing lean on me, just so that she knows that she can lean on me. And when she hears the words, I hope she knows she'll be
okay.
Aim my boombox at the roof, I'm playing lean on me, just so that she knows that she can lean on me. And when she hears the words, I hope she knows she'll be okay. Aim my boombox at the roof, I'm playing lean on me, just so that she knows that she can lean on me. And when she hears the words, I know exactly what I'll say. Promise I'm not playing tricks on you. You're always welcome to come in. You can stay here for an hour or two.
If I ever need a friend,
We can talk about the noise when I'm ready. But till then, said it must have been the wind, must have been the wind, must have been the wind, must have been the wind. Said it must have been the wind, must have been the wind, must have been the wind, it must have been the wind.
I said it must have been the wind, must have been the wind, must have been the wind, it must have been the wind.
Wow, that's absolutely breathtaking. Wow. Thank you so much, Oliver and Oak. And there's a few people listening probably thinking, I need that group at my event. If you're in Southeast Queensland, we're just going to put the handle up again so you can see how that you can follow Oliver and Oak and hopefully get in touch, send them a DM and get in touch with them. If you're in another state, just dig a bit deeper and fly them down. I mean, they're worth it. They're breathtaking. So thank you so much for being a part of that. What you have brought, it's just such an important issue, the role of bystanders, isn't it? And how that can change your life. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Thank you so much. And we're at DV Prevention 360, and tonight is a national conversation, if you just joined us, about community voices bringing fresh solutions in the area of prevention. Too often with domestic and family violence, we're coming from a response space. Well, we actually probably need more work done in the response space because of the overwhelming prevalence of domestic and family violence. But unless we're doing something further upstream, unless we're getting involved in early prevention, it's not a fight that we're going to win, unfortunately. We're joined tonight by a very special fellow, Justin, who I met. When did I meet Justin? About a year ago, actually, and when I zoomed in to a circuit breaker course that Justin was involved in. We're going to welcome Justin. If you want to join me on the screen, mate. Good to have you, buddy. It was about a year ago, I think, that I popped into that circuit breaker group in Melbourne to say hi, and it was a pleasure to meet you, mate.
What's going on, mate? Good to see you, mate. Yeah, I think it was probably over a year ago. So we met on Zoom once I completed the circuit breaker, and then we met again in Queensland at the ACC conference.
It could be 2 years then, mate. Yeah, you're right. So, Justin, I know that Justin's always out. Actually, we could have had Justin speaking into the homelessness space as well. He's doing amazing work there in Melbourne, and Justin tonight is joining us from his car, not because he's homeless at the moment, but he's always out adding value to his community. So, Justin, I was wondering if I could ask you, mate, what some of the circumstances were that led up to you coming along to a circuit breaker course. What was going on in your life?
Mate, so for a very long time there, I was struggling with a lot of anger issues and everything like that. So I had a long relationship with the mother of my children, and we had a lot of domestic issues, and police getting involved, and me not being able to handle my anger. She couldn't handle her anger as well. I just struggled with communicating my emotions, and it's just something I struggled with for a very long time. I've always been searching for answers to how to address that. So the circuit breaker really helped me with that, managing emotions, how to how to communicate properly, being assertive, the passive aggressive and all that. That was eye opening for me. Just managing how I express myself and communicate my message, basically.
So, Justin, you've been very candid with your story and sharing it in other places. So people not talking out of school when I ask some of these questions. But Justin, the family that you came from, I understand domestic and family violence was something that you came to just think was normal.
Mate, I grew up around domestic violence a fair bit. It was emotional abuse, physical abuse. My mother used to get beat around. My father, my stepdad were very abusive physically, and not only to my mother but to us boys. Mum was pretty physically abusive and emotionally abusive to us boys as well. It was the norm, man. It was really the norm. And growing up, not knowing that was actually not normal or not good in a way. So just I sort of put that trade on and express my emotions in the same way that they did.
It's one thing to come to that realization though, Justin, but it's another thing to find the tools you need. And one of the things that we talk about in Circuit Breaker, of course, is we can only use the best tools that we have and the best tools that we know about. So how are those tools that you've picked up, how have they helped you?
Well, I'm happily married now. I've got a new new relationship, and we're very happy, and I have not had any issues like I used to have. So being able to communicate my emotions has just been the key, man, to be honest. And being a listening ear, and expressing when you don't want to continue going down the road, which is going to escalate, managing your emotions through that as well. It's all helped. It's all helped so much.
If you so now I understand too that one of the results of being your experience of finding yourself on the wrong side of the law and having a period of separation from your kids as a result of a court order, and now that you've got your kids back in your life, I suppose it's a bit of a sliding doors moment, isn't it? Like, do you ever think about what life would be like if you hadn't found those tools and now are back in touch with your kids?
Yeah, well, it's one of those things that happen when what I've realised is that because I used to blow a fuse all the time and used to be so angry, that damage has scarred a lot of people in my life, including my children, a lot of my family. So people are still the new me, the way I out things. So it's not overnight. It's a gradual process that I'm constantly working on. And my children and family.
Fantastic, mate. I'm getting a little bit breaking up on our end tonight, but thank you for what you've shared tonight to encourage other people, buddy. And we're really proud of you. I'm really proud of you, and just the way that you have not coasted, but you've just continued to seek to be a better and better man, and not just for yourself, but you're also a real leader in your community, mate, and the value that you're adding. People what want to follow that, I understand you've got a YouTube channel, The Short Straw. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I'm on the Short Straw Melbourne, and that channel is dedicated to helping the homeless. And today I just finished up in the city doing outreach with a group of 30. So yeah, go and check that out.
Well, what an inspiration you are, mate. Thank you so much for your time tonight, Justin, and God bless you, mate. Wow, what an amazing guy, and not only an overcomer of some pretty serious challenges, and growing up in a family where that was modelled to him, but doing the hard yards of finding better tools to be a better man, and now what he's done with it, just in terms of what he's paying forward in his community as a leader and as someone really serving on the ground, and what an amazing role model that he now is. If you just joined us, this is DV Prevention 360. So tonight we're really listening to community voices, bringing fresh solutions. It's all about shifting that conversation back to early prevention. I think there's a changing conversation in the domestic and family violence space. I'm getting excited about people talking more and more about prevention, because, as I said before, unless we're preventing, we're not going to win. So tonight's about looking at what's working. We're really wanting to hear now. We're very aware that circuit breaker is not the only solution in this space, and we're not the only people doing early prevention. But you might want to tell us about some other programs you're aware of in the comments. And we've got a lot coming up tonight. As you can tell, we're trying to get through a lot. We've got our police panel coming up soon. We've got some domestic violence counsellors that are going to be sharing. We've even got some lovely lawyers. Now, if you think that's a contradiction of terms, and if you enjoy the odd lawyer joke, I'm afraid these two are going to spoil it for you tonight. They're actually really wonderful people. So they're coming up real soon. We've got some more music artists. We've got Cindy Lee Bosky, fresh off her latest single that has, I understand, gone to over 250,000 views. Amazing. So, and we've also got someone who turned 4 of the chairs in their blind audition on The Voice, joining us soon. It might not be who you think. And we've got some more of these gutsy people sharing their stories of change. But we've got your comments and your questions, and we're going to have a look at some of our comments now. And they'll come up on the screen. We got one from Serene there, Matt and team. DV reports are horrifying. Circuit breaker course brings self-awareness and tools, can help people managing their anger before it harms others. Absolutely. And that's really what we're about tonight, isn't it? Getting the help to people that they need before things escalate into chaos and other people are harmed. And Carol, thanks for your comment there about children, certainly the silent victims. And as we can see, sometimes, not every time, but sometimes that's a catalyst to people paying it forward in a negative way as well. Not everybody who's abused becomes an abuser, but certainly a lot of abusers do come from that background. Heidi, someone I'm very proud of, made a big difference in your life, and mental health. And that's something that we're going to hear a little bit more about tonight. And another one of our brave stories a little bit later of somebody working in the home, in the mental health space, who has had her own amazing transformation through the Circuit Breaker program. Don't forget to don't forget to share some comments. And tonight's an important national conversation, but it's also an important opportunity tonight for us to go further than just saying, yes, we agree, and oh, that's very nice. But I'm really challenging us to take the next step. And I'm going to ask you to do something that I've been doing for about 25 years, and that is giving into this space, becoming a supporter, and actually putting our money where our mouth is, having some skin in the game of domestic family violence prevention. As we said, Circuit Breaker is not the only program in that space, but it is one that we know is working. So we would love you to help us to get that into more places tonight. Our target tonight is to raise $10,000 to get the Circuit Breaker program into more communities where more people need it. It breaks my heart when I get a request from somebody who wants to come into a Circuit Breaker group, but we don't have one in their town or city yet. We can change that by giving generously tonight. You'll see those banners and things on the screen to tell you how to do that. If you are giving, why don't you drop a comment in the chat and to encourage other people that might see you're giving, and they might be challenged to give as well. So without any more ado, I want to move on, and I want to introduce you to these lovely lawyers. I promised they were going to be lovely lawyers. So joining me now is a great old friend of mine, Carolyn DeVries, and Carolyn is from New Way Lawyers. That's not Carolyn. Carolyn is from New Way Lawyers, established in 2009. They're Australia's first not-for-profit law firm. They have 3 East Coast locations in Australia now, in Queensland, New South Wales and Victoria. Carolyn is admitted to practice in High Court of Australia and the Supreme Courts of Queensland and New South Wales. She specialises in family law, child custody, financial settlements and the like, and she's an incredible innovator with an enormous heart for vulnerable people. Welcome, Carolyn.
Hi, Matt. Thanks for that introduction. Very, very kind of you.
My pleasure. We've also got Brad Fitzgerald, and I don't know if he's as lovely, but he's certainly a lovely man. We might have to turn some sound off there somewhere. We're getting a bit of an echo through. Thank you for that. Brad Fitzgerald's with Clements Fitzgerald Lawyers, family law and criminal law experts. Brad is working in the criminal law space, working with complainants and defendants. He's had various senior legal roles, including as General Counsel at the Legal Services Commission, at times acting as the Legal Services Commissioner, and legal manager in the Office of the Chief Psychiatrist at Queensland Health. And he also happens to be the chairman of the Hope Ventures board. Hope Ventures, the charity that oversees and has the international license for circuit breaker program. So welcome, Brad Fitzgerald.
Thanks, Matt. It's good
We
to
can
be
hear. That's great. Can you, Brad, could you tell us what kinds of clients that you're working with at Clements Fitzgerald Lawyers, mate?
Yeah, sure. So I, being a criminal defence lawyer, I'm dealing with people that have criminal charges against them. I also work in the domestic violence space, so working with respondents and aggrieved and applicants in the domestic violence jurisdiction. Most of my clients, though, are people who are just at a crossroads in their life, who've just made some mistakes. They're not, I don't tend to deal with, a lot of repeat offenders. Mine are just people who've made mistakes in life and need some help getting out of or navigating the situation.
Sure. And Carolyn, can you tell us a little bit about New Way and what kinds of clients you're working with, Carolyn?
Well, Matt, you gave such a great introduction of that we are Australia's first non-profit law firm, and we specialise exclusively in family law, so separation and divorce and the issues that come with that. So basically we work with everyday families, mums and dads, to resolve the issues that arise after separation and divorce.
Fantastic, and they really do some fantastic work. One of the things that New Way Lawyers do really well is a wraparound care. So I was wondering if you can tell us what holistic care means for you at New Way Lawyers, and maybe how we could be doing that better in the law space.
Yeah, certainly. So when people are going through separation, divorce and domestic violence, they are involved in legal issues and legal processes, but that's only part of the situation. What they're actually going through is also physical, emotional and spiritual. And when we simply deal with the legal aspects in isolation, we don't give people a complete resolution. So what we've done at New Way Lawyers is we obviously have qualified, experienced lawyers that work alongside the client to resolve those legal issues. But in addition, we have a client care program that we offer in partnership with Chaplains Australia, where we're working to help provide those support in those physical, emotional and spiritual aspects. So there's a lot of different initiatives there. We provide court support and mediation support. If people don't have a good support network, we can have someone go along to court or mediation with them to provide the emotional support. We send out little court care packs. We're providing connections and referrals to other services like yours, Matt, where that's needed, and a range of other services. So it's about coming around the whole experience that people are going through and actually providing that complete solution rather than just the legal advice in a vacuum.
Fantastic. And that's sort of really, I recall when, I think I was there on the launch night of New Way Lawyers, and a big part of what you do was for that reason, wasn't it? To be able to I suppose, respond to people rather than just situations and just
Exactly.
profit
Yeah,
as such.
that's right.
But yeah. Hey, Brad, you and I were talking the other day about some of the recent changes in the DV law space. It's a lot to navigate, and I wondered whether we could have a chat about some of the challenges that you're seeing currently in this whole domestic violence and law space.
Yeah, sure. I think I can break it up into two areas. Firstly, the criminal space. So where a person is a respondent to a domestic violence order, they have some conditions, and then they go on to be charged for contravening those domestic violence order conditions. I think one of the challenges that I'm presented with is people not understanding the conditions, and it is getting better, but there's a lot of orders out there where there's no consistency across orders. So even for police to actually understand and interpret some of the conditions is a challenge. And then people are charged for things that they may necessarily not have to be charged for just because of an interpretation issue of a condition. This is also where you've got the aggrieved as well as the respondent, wanting to continue on in their relationship and with their family life, but there may be just some interpretations with the conditions. One of the positives out of that is, particularly in southeast Queensland and in the Brisbane and Caboolture being lead jurisdiction, is that there are now some consistency with orders and conditions and using the same words. So that is helping that challenge a little bit. The other issues that have been coming up is since the coercive control criminal offence legislation came into play, that word and that phrase now gets used a lot in applications. And where I'm seeing a challenge is that people are going to police saying, my partner's been coercive controlling me, and the police aren't acting on any applications purely because the evidence isn't there. It's not meeting the legal test. So because of that, there's no application for domestic violence orders being made. And what I'm seeing in my practice, I'm not sure of the statistics in the courts, but what I'm seeing in my practice is that there's a lot more private applications being made after aggrieved applicants are going to the police to try and get a police protection notice or a domestic violence order in place. And the police aren't following through with that because of evidentiary issues, and then private applications being made. That's really challenging for the courts because the courts are now being burdened with a lot of private applications, which I think causes, from a legal court perspective, some court fatigue in terms of making decisions. And I think sometimes because there's so much of it and an overwhelming lot of it, you can have that fatigue in looking at facts and decision making, and then miss the actual really important stuff that's going on in the domestic violence space, and just couching it all into one big ball. And as a judge or a lawyer, just accepting that everything is the same and everything you're hearing is exactly the same circumstance. So I think that's some of the challenges that we face in the legal and the court environment. And I'm seeing that more since the coercive control legislation came in. It's kind of like people move from the term gaslighting. I never hear that term anymore in this space. I hear now coercive control. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is legislation that's come in to Queensland, I think 2025, but before that was in New South Wales, and somebody just turned I'm getting an echo there. Yep, that's it. Great. South Australia, I think so it's just in the 3 states at the moment. And I just reflect on people that I've taken to the police to get domestic violence orders, and just how very difficult it was already to find that evidence base, and that the police were really frustrated by that and wanting to help but not able. And then my understanding of the coercive control legislation, and either of you might want to speak into this, is it seems also to include intent as well. And I remember when they were drafting, I was just thinking, how very difficult must that be to find an evidence for intent? Any thoughts on that?
Well, the legislation doesn't require intent for every event but there has to be it can't just be one event. It has to be a string of events, and the circumstances as a whole has to be taken into account. There has to be intention there. You're right, Matt, in terms of there has to be that intent for coercive control, but it doesn't have to be proved for every single event that makes up the whole context. And then as part of a defence for coercive control as well, which I think is important, not just for defendants in the space, but also for aggrieved in the space, because sometimes I have clients that are aggrieved who don't want the police involvement because there's been a misunderstanding from their point of view. And I think sometimes that there's a defence of coercive control to say that the context of the relationship has to be looked at to determine whether or not it is coercive control as well. So I think that they have struck a balance there with the legislation, which is helpful. Of course, not many coercive control charges have gone through the courts yet, so it's still to be seen how it's really going to affect society.
I think the same's true in Scotland, isn't it, where it first started. So, Carolyn, I understand that there's also some challenges around I think you called it the dual court model with the family court and DV court, and the dynamics of having those two courts. Would you like to tell us what that's about, Carolyn?
Yeah, definitely. So I know there's probably been a lot of facts shared already tonight, but one of the facts and figures that we see in family law matters that go to court is that 80% of those matters involve allegations of domestic and family violence. That's a lot. And what we see is that from the individual's point of view, that's a single story, a single situation. But from the court's point of view, there's actually two systems involved when there's family law matters and domestic violence. So there's the federal system that covers actual family law of parenting and property and child support. And then you've got the state-based system, which actually deals with the domestic violence. And for a lot of people, they're involved in both of those court processes. Now, those court processes have connection points where there can be some sharing of information and intersection to get better outcomes. But I think overall, one of the challenges we face is the two systems, and that in an ideal world, maybe we would have one system that allows people to share their story once and deals with both the family law and the domestic violence aspects. Or at a minimum, perhaps some improvements and better connections in those two systems. I don't think we can go into too much more detail than that tonight, but I think the interplay between those two systems is something that needs to be looked at and improved. It would certainly improve that we're not re-traumatizing people, putting people through two systems. And also, obviously, there's a stress and a cost aspect that comes when people are going through two court proceedings rather than a single.
Very true. Well, that's a great opportunity to look at, a great area to look at. I also wanted to ask you both around the subject we're talking about tonight, around prevention. And Carolyn, I think you had some ideas on this. I might start with you just around the opportunities that there might be out there for doing a little bit more for people in the early prevention space. Have you seen anything promising in that space or any obvious opportunities?
Yeah, like you, Matt, I'm always excited when I see anything that's new, and not for the sake of being new, but for the sake of something that actually is working as well. One of the things that we've launched quite recently in partnership with two employee assistance providers is actually a specific family law and domestic violence employee assistance program. So traditionally, employee assistance programs have provided counselling, which is critical and important and an important support mechanism. But for victims of domestic violence or users of domestic violence, counselling's not the whole solution. There actually needs to be legal advice. So this EAP combines both counselling with legal advice. And what is happening through that space is that we've had so many people and stakeholders involved in DV awareness and DV prevention, but it's actually bringing in a new stakeholder in the as an employer, that employers are able to support employees who are needing access to these services and fund them through the employee assistance program. So we're super proud of that. We're seeing that grow. We're now seeing about 2 inquiries a week coming through that, and that's increasing. That's those pilots have been going for about 6 months now, so we're seeing quite a big increase there. And it's just a great way for people to be able to access resources, particularly in a cost of living crisis.
Excellent. That's fantastic. Brad, did you have anything that you're seeing there as opportunities in the early prevention space?
I think that more people now that are coming to, so I work in really the reactive space in criminal law the most, but when they're coming to see me for domestic violence matters, people are more receptive now of accepting when I say to them, because I don't need to do a DV or change behaviour course in the DV space, but I offer that to them, things like circuit breaker or going to see a psychologist as well on a one-on-one basis. Men and women who are respondents are more open to actually start thinking about how they might need to change their behaviour, not just for the current relationship, but if the relationship's over, future relationships as well. But that's really, from a preventative space, that's what we do in our firm, ensuring that we're trying to hit with the issue that may then, so it doesn't turn into any type of criminal offences in the future.
Fantastic. It's we've just really got to get more into this prevention space, haven't we? Thank you so much for your time. It's just really gone very quickly on us, unfortunately. That's all we got time for our DV and law panel. But what an excellent précis and investigation of what's going on. Thank you very much for your time, Brad and Carolyn, and God bless you. And thanks again for everything that you're doing in this space.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Great. Awesome. I told you they're lovable lawyers. So if you've just joined in, we just wanted to let you know that this is DV Prevention 360. So this is a national conversation that we're having about early prevention. No more of the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff approach. I think that really the season is ripe at the moment. We're starting to really hear a lot more about the need for early prevention. And there's some amazing people operating in that space with some ingenious ideas, just like some that we've just heard now. So tonight's conversation is about ending domestic violence before it even begins. Surely that is the kindest thing that we can do for survivors and victims, is to end it before it even gets started. So we are all about tonight speaking to people who are living in the real world, living in the trenches, working on the ground in these stories. And tonight is about community voices bringing fresh solutions. So your comments are important too. So thanks for sharing those. Keep on sharing. We love to hear your comments. And we're going to go to one now. And what do we got? Okay, well, if you there's one. If you're having trouble with the feed, hopefully you're not having any trouble with that. But thank you for joining us all around Australia tonight. We're not just having a conversation tonight, but we are also raising funds for this early prevention work through the Circuit Breaker program. And as we've said tonight, that's not the only program doing good work, but it is one that, as you can hear, is really working for people. So we'd love to get that out into more Australian communities. Could you please help us with that? Dig deep. And there's a giving handle coming up on the screen. to show you, in fact, on the top there, where to give, and dv360.org, various opportunities there for how you can give and what you can support. If you're enjoying this, could you do us a favour and share it, like it, invite someone, tell someone. Let's get more involved in this conversation and spread this conversation further, because that's where it all begins. I'm also going to tell you that I have been dared tonight. There's a dare. And if we raise $10,000 tonight, I've agreed with the dare that I will play a song as well. So can I even sing? Well, I guess we're going to find out, aren't we, if we can raise that 10,000. Would you help us do that tonight? I'm going to be digging deep myself, and I'd love it if you could join us tonight with that. And let's have a look at our tally so far. How are we going with our giving at this point? Do we have a total there, Mr. Giving Man? No, that's okay. We're going to move on to our DV counselling. We're going to check in on that tally again real soon. But right now we are going to our DV and counselling panel. So I'm going to introduce you to three guests. The first is Peter Wright. Peter from Peter Wright Counselling, based in Maryborough, brings over 20 years of experience in supporting parents and families. Peter provides both individual and couple counselling, both online and face-to-face, and he helps parents to navigate difficult seasons and work through conflict and disconnection. Welcome, Peter.
Thanks, Matt. Nice to be here.
Good stuff. Thanks for joining us, mate. I want to introduce you to Maria Serena. Maria is the head counsellor and clinical supervisor of the Friendship Centre Counselling Services in Blacktown, New South Wales, which she founded 17 years ago, I believe. She's a registered specialist in trauma and child behaviour counselling, clinical supervisor with Australian Christian Counselling Association, and brings a decade of experience in working with DV clients from both sides. Why don't you welcome Maria Serena. Thanks for joining us, Maria.
Guys, thanks so much for having me.
It's great. Thank you for joining us. And Sam. Sam is founder of Bridges Australia, which provides parenting support, counselling, mediation and support services from their base on the Sunshine Coast. Sam brings a wealth of experience in counselling as well as group work with DV perpetrators that he's been involved in, and is also currently leading his second circuit breaker course in a program in Budrum, Queensland. Welcome, our old mate Sam.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, Matt.
Hey, Maria, can I start with you tonight? We're talking about prevention. And you've got some thoughts on this, and you were really quick out of the blocks with your ideas. You've discussed the rates of victims per individual perpetrator. Can you tell us what that was about?
Yeah, so we look at the statistics with regards to perpetrator and victim, and we know that each perpetrator can have up to at least 15 victims in their life. So starting from early childhood all the way through. Oh. And so our services and all the services are actually, providing the support for the 15. And so if we're able to target the one, we're going to be more likely to have a bigger impact. And so it's really important for us to be able to early identify children that have a propensity to act out or aren't able to express their words in a safe manner, or are more prone to angry or aggressive outbursts, and that we're able to start to help them manage those feelings and those big emotions from very little. And so we are able to identify that now, and thankfully we're able to get into much more of a preventative space rather than a treatment, because we're not hitting any different ability in reducing the numbers. If anything, it's increasing, and we need to be able to work with perpetrators. We know what's happening. We know what's going on. We need to understand why, and we need to, instead of looking at the perpetrator through a negative lens, is actually looking at and rehumanizing them as well, and trying to find out what it is that we can do. So I do have some ideas that are quite different to what other people think, but I'll share that when you're ready.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yes, because really that's a really confronting figure, that 15 to 1. And as you say, that really ought to guide our practice. that if we can just prevent the one, it's so much better, and people don't have to go through all of that trauma and chaos and family breakdown. If we can engage with the ones who are really the only people in the story that can change this issue, aren't they? Really, they're the only ones empowered to bring the change. So better engagement with them. Absolutely. I love your thoughts on that, Maria. You also had some thoughts around family and friends and their role in the space.
I think that one of the biggest things, and it's quite different to what other people would think, it's actually the idea of involving family and involving friends from the very beginning, when you're having those feelings, when people are feeling like things are different in the relationship, that we're having those discussions around the dinner table, that as a family you can sit there and say, what would we do if we had a member of our family struggling with domestic violence? How would we handle that? And to bring it out the open, because once we start having those discussions around the dinner table, it's more likely that we're able to then come in and as a family and support what's going on. And so what is usually happening is the families are the ones that are last to find out, and then the believability is very low because people are like, well, we never knew, you never shared it. And so from the very beginning, because it doesn't happen overnight, it does start with feelings. So coercive control is just the feeling, there's something wrong here, I don't feel safe anymore. And that's really the best way to be able to look at coercive control. It's very subjective. That's why it's very hard for the law to come in and say, this is what it is. What might make me feel unsafe might not make you feel unsafe. And so, but it's a feeling. I've worked with children that describe it as feeling, it feels like goo around this particular parent, or it feels off around this particular person. And it starts like that. And so we need to be able to identify that feeling, something's off, and then bring it to family and friends and start to talk about it. And with your friends, talk about it. What would we do if one of our friends was feeling this way? How would we intervene? And as parents, you know, around, like I said, the dinner table, what would we do if one of our family members is struggling? What would we have to do? And bringing it out, and that there's no shame, there's something going on for the perpetrator as well. And we need to be able to rally around supporting a family before it gets to the authorities, before it gets to the law, because that's very hard to undo.
Absolutely, yes. And I love your thoughts there on involving family. I wanted to ask Peter and Sam. Peter and Sam, you've both had some experience in observing perpetrator programs. Can I start with you, Peter? I remember us having a chat about a course that you observed, but and as we said, you know, this is really the area, isn't it? Like if we can address that one person rather than the 15 victims, we have to do both, of course, but then there's programs and there's programs, and what's your experience in what goes on with those programs, and what's helpful and what's not helpful?
Oh, so the very best programs, I think, are ones that they're not there to point the finger and blame people, but they're there to actually help people take some responsibility. So taking responsibility for your own emotions and your own behavior and your own reactions and all of that kind of stuff. And doing that in an environment that's really supportive. So doing it together, going on this journey together with other people who are struggling with similar things, actually gives you this group of people that can continue to support you way after the program. So I think they're two of the key things that really make a program successful.
What would you say to people, Peter, that might be thinking, why do we have to give these people support? You know, these are the bullies that are abusing people. Like, why do they deserve support?
Yeah. So when people say things like that, I feel sad for them, because I feel sad because there's this hurt and this pain and this trauma that's actually creating that question. So when they say that, it's coming out of this pain. If it does take a lot of work, but when you're able to put that pain to the side and look at everybody, we're all, none of us are perfect. We all stuff up. We all make mistakes from time to time. Some of us make big mistakes.
Yeah.
But I really believe that we can all grow and we can all change and we can all become better versions of ourselves. So that's why I believe everyone deserves a chance and everyone deserves a program, because I believe that we can all change and we can all become, like when you become a better version of yourself, that impacts your whole family, well, your immediate family, your partner, your kids. And then as Maria was talking about, kind of your friends and your wider family, it impacts them too. So yeah,
absolutely, it has a knock-on effect. Wow.
Yeah.
I love your heart for these people. And Sam, you've had quite a bit of experience in these kinds of groups as well. What have you seen, mate?
I think quite a bit actually. I've seen, because of my experiences, it's Australia, but also I've been involved in community in Brazil as well. And of course, the resource and the reality is quite different there. So it's good to see both worlds in making comparisons as well. But across both worlds, we can see that people are vulnerable, independent on the resources that they have or not, you know. And one thing powerful that I could hear from Peter and from Maria, and from you as well, Matt, was exactly the community responsibility to address those issues. I think it is important, like you say, Maria, you know, to have these chats, you know, within the family and family being involved in supporting people that might have some of these issues. But also it is important to understand that we should not rely only on government, you know, intervention in that. Because the end of the day is our responsibility, is affecting our communities, affecting our neighborhood, you know what I mean? And we can address that easily because government and institutions, they cannot cope with the demand, you know, and statistics is showing that clearly. And probably might not be the best approach to deal, you know, when you fall through the cracks, when people are in crisis, that it's quite difficult to address the issue when you get to this point. So preventative is something that needs to be talked about. You know, bystander, you know, intervention, it should be something that we talked about. You know, what are common citizens going to do in a situation where they can see that is possibly a domestic violence happening? You know what I mean? Coercive control. You know, and sometimes just to check in, is everything okay? You know, that might be enough.
I want to ask you a question without notice, Sam, and that's just regarding the power of being in a group. You know, because you've experienced as a one-on-one counsellor, but yes. What do you see as some of the powerful dynamics when people get into a group environment?
Okay, one powerful dynamic that I see in the groups that's quite amazing to see is to see how much resources people have. You know, they recognize the flaws they have. Wow. They recognize that they need to take accountability for their actions, but also they do have some insight as well on the journey of trying to address the issue. You know, some of them even able to support another participant in the group to say, listen, I have tried a couple of these strategies to deal with this problem in a different way that might work for you. So me as a group facilitator in this environment and as a part of my job is bringing up all these to the surface, you know. I'm being lucky enough that people are quite comfortable to talk about that. I think there is genuine motivation for people to grow and to get out of the patterns of behavior they are in, but there has not been much resources for them to access to it. You know, that's why I do this, you know, this group facilitation, because I think it's quite powerful.
Is it which group are you talking about? Your group in Buderim, Circuit Breaker group?
Yes, exactly, the Circuit Breaker. Yeah.
What are you seeing there, mate? With
I can see that participants, they can support each other. You know, as a group facilitator, I'm there to facilitate the process. If people, are going through a way that's not helpful, we can bring it up some of these tools that we use in the program. We can talk about some statistics. We're talking about some therapeutic approach that they can use as well, and some of the tools. So the idea is actually to support the participants to become independent, not to rely on us, but for them to be also a generator of this empowerment to other people. And what I've seen from people that have gone through the program is that they are able to identify some of these issues in other people, and they're excited to use some of these tools to help other people. So the impact that these groups have on participants go beyond the group, go in the community as well.
Fantastic. Unfortunately, we have already run out of time for this panel. I'm disappointed about that, but it's just been flowing, and we've just had so much to say, and there's so much good work being done in this space with groups and engaging with the only people who can change domestic and family violence. Politicians can promise change, but really, at the end of the day, the only ones empowered to bring the change are the ones doing the violence, and some great initiatives there. Thank you so much for being our Brains Trust tonight, and for all of the years of experience and good work that you're able to share that from. And I'm sorry we've run out of time, but thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, guys.
Great. They're amazing, encouraging and totally inspiring people, as is our next guest. We've got an incredible music artist, a friend of mine. We're proud to say she's a Queenslander. So Cindy Lee is from Chinchilla, and Cindy Lee's just got an album in the making, or 2 albums in the making, but she's just released a single that has gone absolutely nutsoid. That's a technical term. Cindy, you've probably heard that before about your work, but how astronomical is your latest single? Did you say 250,000 views now?
Yeah, it's had views, downloads. It's been amazing across all the platforms around the world. So, who would have thought, mate?
I know. And confession time, Cindy. Like I've got a lot of muso friends, and when they play me their song, I listened to it once, and that's nice. But yours, I keep going back to. I find it stuck in my head. I sing it around the house. It's an absolutely powerful song, and you are going to share a song with us tonight. We hope we know which one it is. But
I think you do.
But before you do, I wonder if you could just tell us why it was important for you to take time out of your schedule and be part of this tonight.
Yeah, well, for me, like domestic violence has, it's something that's quite important and deeply impacted my life, through just seeing the devastation through people that I love, family and friends that have gone through this, and members that have, just walked through the pain and trauma of, DV. And I've seen that firsthand just how it affects, just every part of a person's life, which is, it just destroys families, relationships, homes, and not just homes, but futures. And I've noticed that, through the pain and trauma of it, that, it just has this ability to just, cripple a person, not just emotionally, but mentally and spiritually and physically. And it just leaves these deep wounds that, for some people take complete years and years and years to heal. And so for me, it's just such an important subject, and I just love what you guys are doing with making awareness. And I think that's such a big key, is just bringing awareness to domestic violence, and how what people can do to actually walk through what they're going through, which is not always easy.
Well, thanks for all of your support too, Cindy. And there is so much that we can all do, isn't there? And what have you got for us tonight? I'd love to know what you're sharing tonight.
Yeah, so tonight I'm singing my single, which is called "Did I Ever Matter to You?"
Yes.
It's a song that's, deeply personal to me. It's written from a place of grief and just questioning, and ultimately, like, hope, did I ever matter to, that person at all, or people? And it came from a place of just, for me, out of just relationships with people, and how, it's life is a journey, right? And
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
me, there's these moments where I didn't even know if I was going to step back into the place of doing music like I am doing again today. And so for me, I wrote this song, and it just, for me, it's a song that carries every question, like every tear, every ounce of hope that comes with the journey of life. And so yeah, it's called Did I Ever Matter to You?
Great. Well, we're going to throw it over to you, Cindy Lee. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
We were more than friends, we were family, shared our hearts and our history. Laughed till we cried, dreamed side by side. I thought you'd be there for all my life. Through the highs and lows, the fights and fears, I stood beside you all those years. I believed in who you'd become. Now I'm standing here asking what went wrong. Did I ever matter to you at all? Was I someone you captured if I took a fall? I gave my time, I gave my truth, but I guess I was never what you were to me, to you. Call me day or night, and I'll drop it all to make things right. I fought for you when no one would, because I believe you were the good. Now your silence says it all. I'm trembling, coming so slow. No warning, no goodbye. You just memories fading out of you. Oh, did I ever matter to you at all? Was I someone you captured if I took the fall? I gave my time, I gave my truth, but I guess I was never what you were to you. I still cheer for you from afar, still thank God for who you are. But some nights that ache breaks through, and I wish I meant half as much to you.
Wow, Cindy, thank you so much. That's we can see why they call you the girl with the golden pipes. You have got an amazing voice. And
Did I Ever Matter to You? And I think I had a double track going. I had so sorry about that.
yeah, that's okay. We know
echoes.
you weren't doing a Milli Vanilli,
Come across
but
all right out there.
no, that's great. And what a blessing to have you share that song that's going around the world at the moment.
I can't hear you.
Oh, okay. Somebody's mic gone off, has it? No. Hello?
I think you're talking, but I can't hear you. Sorry.
Oh, am I off? I'm on. Okay. Might just have me on mute there, but that's a bit of a shame. We don't seem to be able to communicate with Cindy Lee at the moment, but we'll just say thank you.
I've lost you,
goodbye.
Matt. I could hear you before clear, but I've lost you now.
Okay. All right.
See you guys. Thanks for having me.
We'll move on, and let's just pop that banner up so that people can see how to find Cindy Lee Bosky and get on board. Look out for that new album. She is actually releasing a new single from that album very soon. So if you're following her on her, go to cindyleebosky.com, because that really gives you all of the options for following her on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. And if you're following that, you'll be able to see her new single, which is coming up any day now. So fantastic. So if you, we actually have now another gentleman joining us. We've got another one of our brave stories, and joining us now is a guy that's become a good friend of mine, Paddy. Absolutely. G'day, Paddy. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Matt. How are you?
We're having. Yes. Great. Thanks, mate. Great. And Paddy, I met you. Sorry, we've got a bit of. Might need you to turn off a speaker there or something, or turn it down, or just getting some echo there somehow. So yeah, Paddy, I met you last year at a circuit breaker group in Wynnum, and that was a great blessing, mate, to be a part of a circuit breaker group. I don't get into a circuit breaker group very often. I'm usually training somebody else or putting someone else forward, but I absolutely love being in those groups. And one of the real joys of that group was meeting you, mate. And I know that you want to share with us a little bit about what led up to you deciding to come along to a circuit breaker course.
Yeah, so for myself, I was actually referred to circuit breaker through another pastor at the church that I'm attending. Yeah, it was a light bulb moment for myself, reflecting and realizing that the way I was heading wasn't working for myself. I was engaged to my fiance, and we're heading into marriage, and yeah.
And there were some things that you were not wanting to take into your marriage?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, things that I witnessed in growing up and in a family, and domestic violence being one of them. Yeah, it's easier said than done for myself to say that I didn't want those things in my family, and I didn't want to treat my wife the same way or my kids the same way. But yeah, it's one of those things. It's more easier said than done.
Just in your conversations with me, Paddy, you've talked about this sort of being like that, a lot of things about your culture that you're proud of, but also that you know, that this has sadly been something that's gone parallel. It's kind of gone side by side with your culture of origin. Is that something you'd like to talk about tonight?
Yeah, I'm very proud of where I come from. I'm Samoan by origin. Yeah, so growing up I'm all for like the positive things in our culture with respect and honor. But yeah, growing up in like heavy-handed disciplinary, like getting hidings and things like that as kids, and just witnessing in the family unit things that kids shouldn't really see, between mother and father and father to the children. I just didn't know that it wasn't normal until I got into a relationship with my partner, and seeing that, yeah, that's not how you treat your kids or treat your loved ones.
So,
Yeah.
I suppose the timing of it was you were really heading very quickly towards that wedding day when we met, and again, thinking about these things that you wanted to change, or you wanted to put in some sort of way of knowing that wasn't going to repeat in your marriage. What was that experience like of coming into that circuit breaker group?
Itself was life-changing for me. Just being alongside other men in a small group and sharing with one another what their experiences were like, and getting to like sharpen each other. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
also
were there?
with, sorry, Matt. Yeah.
Sorry, were there elements of that you could single out that were helpful for you?
Yeah, I think the content in the course itself was the most, the best thing for me. The learning, the stop signs within myself, knowing myself, in when I should communicate and when I shouldn't communicate, and that to me was like a big revelation. Like you wouldn't drive a car under the influence of alcohol, so you wouldn't communicate under the influence of anger. So for me, that was very, life-changing. Like you don't have to communicate in the time when it's happening. Yeah.
It can be, it can just really be something that people don't even consider an option, do they? I mean, it just seems like you're feeling angry, so you express it. But to understand that it is optional, and then to have some off ramps and some tools, it can be life changing. It's something that changed my life as well. So what's different for you now these days, Paddy? And you've been married just a few months now, but what do you think's different now to what it might have been?
The conflict resolution is big. I see it as a tool that I have in my arsenal, like in my toolbox. I know how to communicate positively in areas that we've touched on in circuit breaker, like using old tools, like raising your voice, through also I think manipulation, that's something that isn't good. So I've picked up new tools completing the course, positive ways to talk to my wife, and I think it's good.
Fantastic, Paddy. And Paddy is someone that I just have the most respect for. I've had the opportunity to sit with you and your wife and have dinner and just really unpack a lot of this and what it's been for you, that whole experience. And I'm just really so proud of you and the way that you have stepped up as a man and just really humbled yourself to position yourself in a group where you could find what you needed, not as a selfish thing, but as someone that wants to be a good husband and also somebody that I can see just being such a great leader in your community and now and into the future. So thank you so much for your courageous sharing of your story tonight. It really is a gift to other people to hear a story like yours, Paddy. I'm sure people watching that it just gives hope to, because it's not something we talk about, and particularly men are quite silent on this subject. So know that you've given us a great gift tonight, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Paddy. And we're going to just going to refresh now with. Thanks for joining us. We're going to just remind people, if you've just tuned in, that this is DV Prevention 360. So tonight is a national conversation and fundraiser for early prevention and putting the spotlight back on the early prevention of domestic and family violence. So what we're talking about there is preventing violence before it even begins. It's kind of what prevention means. So we haven't invited academics tonight or the politicians to make promises or the activists to get outraged. Sorry if you were hoping for that. Tonight's not a night about finger pointing. We're talking to real people who have to live in the real world, and that's why you're hearing tonight community voices bringing fresh solutions. Coming up, we've got our police panel. We're going to be talking to a prison chaplain about what's happening in prisons and in this area and in immigration detention. We're also talking to some churches that are doing some great things in the DV prevention space in their communities. And I've got another 1 or 2 music artists. That's up to you whether it's 1 or 2. We are going to hear very soon from the man who turned 4 chairs on The Voice at his blind audition back in 2018 and went deep into semi-finals. That's Mr. Chang Po Ching. Can't wait to have him join us a little later. We've also got 2 more amazing people sharing their own gutsy stories of personal transformation. And we've got your comments. We love to hear what your comments, so keep those coming, please. There's another comment there from Carol. Groups generate the courage to speak out and be empowered as they gain confidence in a safe environment. Absolutely, Carol. I so believe in groups and the dynamic that they bring, the opportunities that they bring as men and women get around. Everyone is giving a lot of thanks to Patty at the moment, and so they should be. Amazing share. Meredith there, thanks for that comment. Patty's an inspirational story, sure is. He's actually an inspirational bloke to share time with. He's the real deal. So keep your questions and comments coming. Thanks for that comment, Sam. Yeah, absolutely. Love being here tonight to hear these stories and what we can do as a community. So I alluded to the fact that we might have 1 or 2 musicians. That's because I've been dared tonight. There's a bit of a dare going on. So we're trying to raise $10,000 for the prevention of domestic and family violence tonight through the Circuit Breaker program. Once again, it's not the only good program out there, but it's the one that we're putting some funds behind tonight to get it out into more communities so we can hear more stories like Patty's, we can hear more stories like Justin's, we can hear more stories like the ones that Sam's been hearing in Budrum and sharing from their group. So we are trying to raise this $10,000. We're going to have a look at our giving tally right now and see where we're up to in the great quest for the $10,000. How are we going there? We are up to, okay, I'm getting 16,000. Oh, wow, 1,650. I got a bit excited there, didn't I? We've raised 1,650. That's a fantastic start. So if you're watching tonight, please like and share and comment. And if you're giving, and we would just love you to. I'm not asking you to do something that I haven't been doing. I've been supporting this for 25 years now. So if you could really help us to get this program into more communities, that would be so fantastic. Just go to the website that's flashing along the top of the screen there. It's dv360.org. And if you can also get there through the Circuit Breaker website, through our events page. Just get onto DV360 there, and they'll take you straight through to where you can give, and we can get that tally to 10,000. If we get it to 10,000, I've got to do a song. So can I even sing? Well, we'll find out if we can get to the 10,000. But love you to help us with that. We are now moving along and getting down to, actually, there's Peter's got a comment. I'm going to read that out. Peter doing some great work in Logan. He says, I see so many blokes grab hold of the Circuit Breaker tools and discover how to become calm and self-controlled. Such a practical course as the guys journey together and lift each other up. Thanks, Peter, and thanks for the great work you're doing as a facilitator there in Logan. And wouldn't it be great to get this into more communities together? We are now going to go to our police panel, and I'm excited about this one because the police are going to be spilling the tea on what actually really goes on the ground. This is not the academics. I'm not saying they're not academic. I'm just saying these are people that work in the real world on the ground. And so joining us tonight, Beck McDonald, Queensland Police, she's with in Strategic Policy and Legislation branch. She's been writing recommendations for legislation for the government in the area of DV and other areas, and spent a good deal of her life as a prosecutor. Thanks for joining us, Beck.
No, thank you.
We've got Murray. Murray is was a QPS officer. He's an ex-cop. for about 10 years in far north Queensland. Is that right, Murray?
Yeah, 25 years policing. Resigned when I was up in far north Queensland, yeah.
All right, great. And also, you bring a double string to your bow in having some experience in facilitating behaviour change groups with one of Australia's big counselling centres. So welcome, Murray, tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
And thirdly, we've got Des. Des is joining us from the Sunshine Coast. Des is a former QPS officer who was stationed, I believe, in Western Queensland. Was that right, Des? Yep.
Yeah, later in my career, and started at Caboolture in Mourne District.
Caboolture. That's west enough. That's west if you live in Bribie. And currently working in community engagement with the Sunshine Coast Council, and you hold the DV portfolio for Sunshine Coast Council community engagement. So you're having a busy month, my friend. In Queensland, it's Domestic Violence Month for us at the moment. So welcome to you too, Des, and to all of our guests. Beck, I wondered if I could ask you, first of all, just about what we're hearing. We're hearing about just some pretty big numbers on the prevalence of DV. And one of the issues that we're starting to hear discussed is just, is this something that the police have the capacity to be able to deal with?
It's definitely a challenge at the moment. Obviously, our calls for service are quite significant. Right across Queensland, our calls for service in terms of everyday calls is sitting at about 72%. So 72% of police work is dedicated to addressing and managing domestic violence, which is huge. It's never been so big. And this is my 35th year in the Queensland Police Service. I've been a police prosecutor since 2008 and run a number of prosecution courts, including dedicated domestic violence courts. And we've seen the numbers rise. Just for an example, in Ipswich, we were getting 45 to 50 matters on a Monday back in 2014. We're now sitting at about 110 matters 4 days a week, and that's just in Ipswich. So yes, 72% is sitting on the dashboard at the moment. And yes, we are doing everything we can to put resources behind all the programs on the ground because it's the number one call for service.
Wow, that's just staggering numbers, isn't it? When you hear that, and also when you think that 72% is just a state average. And I know that for areas like Bundaberg, for instance, where numbers they're giving us there is about it's 90% of their police call outs there, which is just unbelievable. So, Murray, I had a question for you, my friend. You're somebody who has attended some DV calls, and I'm just wondering, as Mr. Joe Public, we have our idea of what that might look like when police attend these calls. But I was just wondering if you could share with us what really goes on the ground and what it was that you found surprising when attending these kinds of calls.
The calls that we attend in relation to domestic violence, vary, and you could attend a job that doesn't appear to be domestic violence related, but then get there and upon investigation it is. So it's really a range of circumstances. I think the thing that is what probably people would find surprising is just how intensive the investigations are. Like probably one of the complaints that police hear is that police don't care, they don't listen, or they're not doing a proper investigation. But from my experience, like it's such a time intensive job to attend, a domestic violence job. There's so much that goes into it, and so much that you've got to make sure that you're getting right. So it might be, for example, 72% of calls for service are domestic violence related, but that equates to a massive percentage of our actual time that police are attending these jobs, because they are so protracted and so complicated. Like, the powers that we have and the legislation that we have and the policies and procedures that we have all got to be kept in mind. But also the main reason that we're there is to keep people safe. And that can be sometimes tricky because you're not always in an environment where people want you there. Even the victim survivors are usually, or sometimes I should say, not acting in their interests. So you're using all the powers, policies that you have possible to make these victim survivors and particularly the children safe.
And I guess we suppose that a victim survivor has called police, but that's not always the case, is it? And if a bystander has called, then I guess it can be a bit of a lucky dip what police are walking into, can't it?
Yeah, 100%. And also it may be the victim survivor that got a call out, but when police are there, they don't want the perpetrator to know that it was them that called. So, they may be acting in a confrontational or aggressive way when really they're really just needing help. And then it's up to the police on the ground to, work with the powers and the resources available to try and keep them safe, even when they're presenting as someone who doesn't really want help.
There's plenty there that we don't understand, I think, just as, members of the public. And like you say, sometimes, unfortunately, people do just assume police are not doing enough. I've taken victim survivors to police stations a number of times to get DVOs or to place charges, and I've just seen firsthand how frustrating that is for police that are really wanting to help, but that evidence is so difficult to establish sometimes with some of these matters, and as you say, it can just take so long. Even walking into a station and just the sheer involved, paperwork, which is necessary, and no one's doubting that, but that can be 3 hours alone. And what I'm hearing on the ground is that actually going to call outs, that whole process, can then push that to more like 5 hours just on one job. No one begrudges that with the victim, but Des, you and I have had some chats around this, and the concept that we don't like to talk about, but is a reality, is that what we call DV fatigue. You have some thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I guess that sort of come from, conversations that I still have today with a lot of good friends who are in the service, and it is to do with that workload. As Murray mentioned, there's so many different things that take place in terms of, it's not just going to a job, it's the paperwork, it's the emotional toll that they can take as well. And you're hearing people's stories time and time and time again. And I guess after a period of time, and if you're in the job for many, many years, it can take an emotional toll on you, plus all the other, depending on where you're stationed as well, the other workload that comes in at the same time, and having to manage all of that and, still turn up and be professional and be empathetic. And so I guess that's, the terminology that they sort of talk about is fatigue. It can be quite relentless at times.
Because at the end of the day, police are human, and, there's a lot of vicarious trauma there as well, isn't there? And as you say, turning up to be empathetic when you're stressed about just that sheer workload. There's a recent ABC article where Shane Pryor, the current president of the Queensland Police Union, said that the number of DV jobs that police are required to attend, he claims, are outstripping the supply of officers available. So he's actually called for what he calls a whole of society approach, and says that we need help, and it's in the interest of the community. We can't recruit our way out of the problem. It's probably true, but that need for community to step up. I'd love to hear any of your thoughts on what that could look like.
Look, I think from my perspective, it's everybody's responsibility. Domestic violence is not in the lap of the Queensland Police Service, and it's not in the lap of charity organisations that step up. It is everybody's responsibility. Every interaction that we have as a police officer, as a member of the public, is an opportunity. And the reality is that some people won't feel comfortable talking to certain officers, certain practitioners, and that's why every interaction is vital. I always say we leave fingerprints on people's lives, and even going into court, we start at 8:30 in the morning. We're often in court until 6 o'clock at night with no breaks. And as I've said to magistrates I've worked with in that dedicated space, we have to put the same empathy and the same motivation and the same vigilance in our work to the 6 o'clock couple than we do at the 8:30, because it's easier to be motivated and empathetic at 8:30 in the morning. Come 6 o'clock at night, when everybody wants to go home, the air conditioning has been turned off in the courts. You're all got everywhere else to be. We have to give the same level of service, the same level of empathy and industry to that couple that we did at 8:30 in the morning. So it's everyone's responsibility, and every interaction matters.
That's easier said than done, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. Just turning up. Like, I think we all get a bit drowsy in the afternoon, but it's certainly not a role where you can switch off. There's a lot of really amazing comments coming through, just expressing their thanks. That's a good name, Matthew Law. Very fitting. But Matt, thank you for your service. He says we do not take it for granted. And I've seen some other comments there. Thank you for your service and dedication from Melly and others. We are, I think, Beck, you've been, sorry, I'm just getting a bit of extra noise there from somewhere. We've got a mic on? No. Okay, great. Beck, you've been sharing a little bit about some of the current work in your in domestic violence policy reform. Is that something you can talk about with us tonight?
Yeah, look, I think it's very public, and Shane Pryor has been very vocal about what we need, because we need to attack it from all angles. Legislation has changed, our powers have changed, and they've needed to. And one of the big changes that is going to be a huge improvement for our victim survivors is the ability to provide a statement, a recorded statement, a video recorded statement at the time when they are at their most vulnerable, when they're at their most emotional, when the feelings are extremely real and present, and they get to tell their story once, and that becomes their evidence in chief, and we can play that to a court. Now, that was run as a trial across a number of prosecution cores in Queensland. One of them was when at Southport, also I did it at Ipswich. It was a success, and now it's being rolled out statewide. So we don't have to re-traumatise our victim to tell their story over and over again every time they go to court. Their evidence in chief is recorded on body cam footage under certain requirements legislatively and with policy. And they only have to tell their story once, and that is what we have been really pushing for, and that's probably been the biggest win for the community, and certainly for the Queensland Police Service and for the court system since we have been looking at what we can do better.
Fantastic. That's a great initiative, isn't it? And very trauma-informed, I suppose, policy change that I'm sure has just been a great blessing to people that find themselves in that terrible situation.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You don't want to re-traumatize the victim. How many times do you want to tell your story? Every time you tell the story, it doesn't make it any easier or any better. Yes, by all means, get therapy, but having to be put before a court and be told over and over again, what's happened, is re-traumatizing the victim.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you all for the incredible work that you're doing. Does anybody have any thoughts on, I suppose, community and what we can be doing? Obviously, there's probably a lot of us sitting here thinking tonight, yes, community has to step up, but I suppose practically, where would we see that? I'm wondering, Murray, you look like you might have some thoughts on this.
Yeah, it's been really interesting coming from the policing, years of policing, and then moving into the groups facilitation space. So I was working with Relationships Australia in their Stopping Family Violence program as a senior facilitator, and probably one of the biggest things that I think community can do is there's a lot of stigma around domestic violence. If you get called, even the language itself is quite stigmatizing. You're a perpetrator. You made a victim of somebody. And one of the things that I learned personally, facilitating these groups, the men in those groups are people, and they really feel like they don't have the tools to often behave any differently. And so part of that process, I think, is destigmatizing the fact that they're a perpetrator, and really start encouraging them and moving them towards, learning tools, which is very hard if you're just pointing the finger and saying you commit domestic violence, and having a negative attitude towards them. There's all these men that I thought that my problem would be, I'd hate these guys, I would not get on with them, that I would be really looking down at them. When I got into facilitating groups, I love these guys. Like, they have come from backgrounds where, it's surprising that they're not worse, the experiences that they've had, really shape who they are. And I think one of the biggest things that we could do as a community is start getting some, training into them when they're younger. So unfortunately, a lot of the programs today, if you're 17 or younger, you can't even do the programs. You can't do a domestic violence program. There are some programs like Love Bites and things that go into schools, but we just need to fully resource that, I think, and really get some tools into the hands of our younger people, how to deal with conflict, how to deal with things when they're not going right, just all those types of things is vital, and the kids aren't learning them.
Fantastic.
And Murray's right, sorry, to follow on from Murray's right there. We've got generational harm. So we've got generations of children who that's all they see. They've seen their grandfather, they've seen their father. They don't know any different. We need to get in and start addressing it in their youth, so that they have these tools. And they have a different option, a different role model, a different way of doing business. And that's something that all of us can contribute to.
Absolutely. And Des, you coming from QPS and now finding yourself in a local council with in your role there in community engagement with the DV portfolio, no doubt that has informed your work. So what are you doing in that space with involving community in the early prevention?
Yeah, we work with many stakeholders here on the Sunny Coast in terms of prevention. And I think what Murray sort of touched on too, one of the things we do a bunch of stuff with guys as well, and doing stuff in group and having a place where a person can show up and be authentic and share their true self in a way that's, there's no judgment, there's no stigma, but it's amazing when you create that environment, how healthy that actually is. DV typically is in isolation, but when you're working with people in a group and it's out in public or it's in a place where you're having to be real, and it's a very, very powerful thing. And we've seen tremendous results from that, and really good preventative tools, programs come as a direct result of that. But we have a long-term mindset as well. It's just not 5, 6, 7 weeks. We've been working together now for a couple of years, and it's been pretty good to see what things have emerged out of that.
Great. Well, look, thank you so much. We've actually run out of time for our panel tonight, but thank you for what you've shared, and I hope it's going to really motivate community to help with some of that heavy lifting in the DV space just by getting on the front foot with this and more early prevention. So thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to move on now, and I'm going to hear from another one of our brave stories, and we're hearing from Tanya, who's, I think that's where we're up to. Let me check my notes. Yes, absolutely. And there's Tanya. Thanks for joining us tonight, Tanya. We first met at a circuit breaker group. I like to come and visit the group sometimes on the final night just to say congratulations. I think your first words to me were, thank you, this course has saved my life. And I went straight into, what? That sounds like an exaggeration, surely. But wow, you're an amazing lady, Tanya. Can you tell us what was happening for you at that time?
I was really angry. I lost 2 jobs because I was so angry. And my partner had said to me, "This is you're yelling all the time. You're yelling at the animals. We just can't go on like this." And I literally gave myself 3 months to get well, to get help. And I honestly had set a date that if I couldn't get well and couldn't find new tools, that I was going to take my life. So going to circuit breaker every Friday night, and learning that it is possible to find new tools. I remember my very first day. Sorry, my voice is a bit shaky.
Yeah, that's understandable, Tanya.
I
Thanks.
said, I've been angry since I was 3 years old. I don't know how to not be angry. I've now done circuit breaker twice because I went through some big life changes, and I have felt the anger creeping in again. And so the second time, I already had this base knowledge, but to do it a second time, I just learnt so much more. And I grew as a person. And my partner is happy and is smiling.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Wow.
Yeah.
So I understand your partner had also given you an ultimatum.
Yeah. That if I couldn't get well, we were breaking up. We've just made 11 years together. So yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Thank you. And it's helped me in my work. I work in the mental health sector, and people come in and constantly say, "I'm just angry. I don't know why, but I'm angry." And I'm able to share some of the tools that I've learned with them at work, which is amazing.
And something that we've been touching on tonight, and it's just been shared about the power of being in a group, that it wasn't just that you came to a library or you came to some people that gave you some tools or, some instructions, but you sat in a group for 10 weeks. And I noticed the way you said that, and what happened. You shared a little bit more than words when you shared that. It sounded like that just being in that group was very special for you, Tanya. Is that?
I felt very not judged.
Yeah, wow.
I don't know if that's the right way to say it.
Yeah.
And look, I'm not a religious person, but at the end, when Lisa said, "Oh, we're going to do a prayer, you can leave. You don't have to stay for the prayer." And I thought, "Oh, heck no, bring it on. Just if you want to pray for me, I'll take that. Thank you. Thank you. If you care enough about me that you want to pray for me, I'll take that."
Sure.
So having the amazing facilitators sharing their own journey as well. And they said on our last day that apparently on my first day, I was shrunken and could barely speak, and they watched me grow and blossom.
That's fantastic. And something that you and I were talking about just as we were preparing for this was just what is out there for women, really. Like we've been talking to some counsellors tonight about men's groups and that sort of thing. But what's your experience? I mean, you're working you're a mental health peer support worker. So what are you seeing available for women, and particularly for women in gay relationships?
I'm sending them all to circuit breaker. The people that come in, but there are lots of groups for men, but there is my previous relationship was very toxic, and there was no help. We were both angry, so best that broke up, and I'm lucky to have a very calm partner now.
Yeah.
But I catch myself needing timeouts.
So you said too that you were both angry, but you were both women as well, and so
Yeah.
that doesn't fit the dominant narrative out there in the DV space, does it? So and doesn't
No.
necessarily fit funding models.
No. But I work with a lot of women who are very angry as well, and they are perpetrators of DV in their relationships, against men or against women.
How do you think your life might be different now if you hadn't have taken that step to come along to the program?
I don't know that I'd be alive.
Yeah, well,
I was very unhappy. And, I've managed to maintain a job now for 14 months.
Wow. Go you.
Yeah. So I'm very proud of that. Yeah.
Well, I'm proud of you too, Tanya.
Thank you.
Every time I talk to you, I'm a little bit more uplifted. You're just an inspiration, and I hope you're really proud of yourself too. And
I am, and I'm so grateful to you for creating this program. I'm so grateful.
Well, it's just an honour to be part of your story, Tanya, and to be a part of anybody else's story that steps up to do the hard yards and to become a better version of themselves. So unfortunately we've run out of time, but I really thank you so much for your courage tonight and what you've shared. Absolutely powerful, and keep paying it forward.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tanya. Excellent. Wow, what an inspiring lady she is, hey? And we are DV Prevention 360 tonight. If you just joined us, it's a national conversation. We're talking about early prevention and more of it, actually giving people the tools before things get to chaos. A lot of these things can start with a simmering. There's a lot of pressure on people these days, and families are coming under more pressure than ever. It's really easy for things to boil over. So getting to people the tools that they need before things get to chaos, so that doesn't have to become chaotic and families breaking down and police being involved. If we can, as a community, step up and help provide these services. So tonight we're talking about that. We've got your comments coming through and some amazing comments coming there for Tanya. We're just going to have a look at some of those now. Okay, that's not about Tanya, but we got some others coming up. All right, we got a bit of a lag with the comments there at the moment, so we will get back to those. But what we're also doing tonight, we're not just having a conversation that we're going to walk away from and do nothing. Hopefully this is inspiring you tonight to get involved, and to people that want to get involved in the Circuit Breaker program to bring hope to your community. That is something that there's a lot of opportunities to do. There's a lot of communities around Australia where we would love to see this program. So check out our website, circuitbreaker.au, and you can find out more about becoming a facilitator or registering your organisation to deliver this program in your communities. And also, we are not just talking about it tonight, but we're actually raising some funds for domestic violence early prevention. And you can be a part of that. Some of you are already giving, and we're getting up to a big reveal now. We're just going to find out where our tally is up to so far. We're chasing that target tonight of $10,000. We'd love to raise $10,000 to get this program into more communities. How are we doing with our tally so far? Do we have a tally? Do we have a total? No, I think we're having a bit of technical trouble there. But we are going to move on, and I'd love to introduce you to some amazing people that have been doing some great work in their local communities. Now, churches, we're talking to some churches now, and now churches sometimes get a bit of a bad rap in this space. People think, well, sometimes churches can be more of a part of the problem than the solution, and certainly historically, I've got to say that has been the case. And in my story, that certainly when I was when I was separated because of my own abuse, I would have to say churches at that time were very uneducated. This is 30 years ago. And some of those responses did more harm than good, I think. But there are some amazing churches around Australia delivering the circuit breaker program and other early prevention programs. I want to introduce you to some of my good friends now. And we have on this panel, talking domestic violence and the churches, my good friend Richard Bevan. Richard Bevan is on the pastoral staff at Life Unlimited Church in the ACT. He's a former police chaplain for AFP, the Australian Federal Police. He's a celebrant. He's a father of 9, and in all of the spare time that he must have on the side, he's also a pig farmer. So why don't you join us, Richard, if you're there, mate? Yeah. That's the other Richard, but Richard Cathy, while you're here, you stay there, mate. Richard Cathy is a pastor of Bundaberg Baptist Church for over 9 years now. He's a family man. He's a big sports fan, and he's a former emergency doctor. And I understand that's not a paramedic. That's a doctor in an ER. Is that right, Richard?
Yeah, that's correct, Matt.
Excellent. So you are a multi-talented individual. And I'd like to also introduce you to Cheryl Forrest, pastor on staff at Pentecost Church in Melbourne, where she and her husband Tristan are location pastors at the new Lilydale campus. They're passionate about churches, and Cheryl particularly is passionate about churches adding value to their communities, and she's headed up the ACC community engagement for Victoria, and is also, a fun fact, an equine therapist, I believe.
Yes, I dabble in that. I like to rescue and rehabilitate and use horses to help people grow.
Fantastic, rehabilitating horses and people. And there's Richard Bevan. He's got his little note from Mum for being late, but I'm sure that was our fault, not yours. Richard Cathy, can I start with you, mate? You've got a fantastic story about how the churches in Bundaberg came to be involved in early prevention. Would you like to talk us through what happened there?
Yeah, Matt, we have a Ministers Association in Bundaberg, and the local Chief Inspector of Police asked to come to one of our Ministers Association meetings, and we thought he was going to be talking about homelessness. But he arrived and surprised us all by saying that by far and away the number one problem in Bundaberg and our Wide Bay area in Queensland was domestic violence. And that was a bit of a shock for us, I would say, and got us really thinking. And he shared the perspective that his local force members were probably doing 85%, 90% of their working lives dealing with domestic violence.
Wow.
That it was really burning them out potentially. And he just wanted to let us know about that and ask us to get involved if we could. And then he came back 6 months later and invited himself back again. Because he said, this is just overwhelming us now. We've got to do something. Can you please stand with us and other community leaders and say, stop it, to everybody? And we just kind of said, well, we're used to giving messages to people about behaviour and motivation and all that type of stuff, and just saying stop it doesn't work. It's more complicated than that. And so we were able to work with a whole bunch of community leaders on a local campaign to try to, really raise awareness and give a more proactive message than just stop it.
Fantastic. So, yes, I relate to that, Richard. So 30 years ago when I was a domestic violence perpetrator myself, in a church, I was given that helpful advice of just stop it, and not super helpful, but to be able to give people tools and some strategies and some support, some wraparound support, as I know you guys have done, is again a very different kettle of fish, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, once they opened our eyes to the scale of the problem, a bunch of different churches really went into a more proactive phase. And so we brought you to Bundaberg, and a number of churches have joined together to run courses. It's really been very helpful to be able to do that collaboratively as well.
Wow. That has been a really amazing thing to witness, that Bundaberg, the Bundaberg churches, and just the unity that exists between them, and to be able to even share facilitators. Like, we've got a course coming up. Have you got somebody else that we could borrow? And can we use your building? And just to see that's quite a beautiful thing that I was blessed to see firsthand there in Bundaberg. And also delivering the course at different times of the year, so that there was more availability for the community and to rest your facilitators in that off season. So amazing work, Richard. And Cheryl, you've been quite involved in the Family Violence Prevention Network with Knox City Council there in Victoria, and trying to get Victorian churches to play a part. How's progress down there, Cheryl?
Yeah. Oh, well, good. What I'm seeing is that, people want to do something but they're not sure where to start all the time. So I encourage churches to get involved, obviously, in their communities. We care about the wellbeing of our communities, to connect with local council, connect with local school wellbeing teams, anywhere they can, really, and just hear what's going on and listen. And be a part of the conversations that are going to bring change for the future.
Absolutely, yeah. And do you think Victorian churches have a part to play in that community space in the early prevention?
Absolutely. I think that the church is really uniquely positioned in many ways. First of all, we believe in transformation. We know that lives can be turned around and changed. We believe in a God that's merciful. So we care about creating those spaces that are shame-free, where people aren't going to feel judged, where they can engage in honest conversation and have someone walk alongside them to change. I think also there's an incredible capacity to mobilise volunteers within our churches as well. If we could train them, train people up to be trauma aware and to be facilitators in courses like Circuit Breaker. But we also, we can help with funding like what you're doing now. I think our churches are very generous. I encourage churches to get involved with grant writing as well. I've won some grants for communities to help roll out the Circuit Breaker program as well. And we have many community partnerships. And I think this is something we're all going to solve together. We all need to work together for this.
That's a really great way to think, Cheryl, isn't it? That can be really overwhelming if we look at it like it's some kind of a one-man lift. But together as a community, we can really lift this problem, and we can, instead of waiting for the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff, we can join hands at the top of the problem and really do something very significant, as you guys are doing.
Yeah, and we can come up with ideas together with other community groups. I remember sitting with a local school vice principal, and he was part of the wellbeing team as well, and he was scratching his head saying, we know the families that need the help, but how do we encourage them to do courses like Circuit Breaker? And he came up with the idea of the Dad Initiative. How about we use natural rhythms in communities such as Father's Day, Movember, Men's Mental Health, Christmas time, to honour dads, but to also help them get in contact with a course like Circuit Breaker, where they can find new tools. So I think together, we can come up with some great initiatives and ideas.
Yeah, that's fantastic, and that's really what you're doing there. And Richard Bevan. I've got to say, Richard, I've got to use your surname, so hope I'm not going to sound like a parent and you're in trouble. But Richard Bevan, As someone who's worked as a chaplain with the Australian Federal Police, you'd be aware of the prevalence of this issue in your community and what a big challenge this is for communities. How's your church addressing this issue locally?
Yeah, we much the same as what we've just heard. We've been encouraging people through the Circuit Breaker program, and really, it's proof is in the pudding. You know, to speak absolutely personally from my perspective, is that I did the course, and my family saw so much difference in the way that I behaved that then my wife did the course, and then my eldest daughter did the course, and they just see the change that has happened in your life, and they just want it. Because like your previous lady, I think it was Tanya, she said, all I knew was how to be angry. Yeah. And if we don't put a different perspective into someone's life, that's all they know. Because it's the you know, coming back to some of the theories that we you know grow up with at school, you know, the monkey see, monkey do theory. If you grow up in a household which is violent, you're going to think that that's normal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Until you see a different point of view, that's all you do know. So as a church, we've had people from the church and also from the community get involved, and it's changing lives, it's changing families, and it's just incredible.
Fantastic, Richard. And one of the things that is, really impresses me about your programs, you're running the course a few times a year, but you're running men's courses and women's courses, and occasionally you're doing a mixed course. Can you tell us about that? Yeah. Because I think it'll probably be a surprise to a lot of people that there's so much demand from women.
So we went back through the statistics the other day, and we've actually had more ladies come through the course, more females come through the course than males. So, you know, last time we ran one male course and we had 2 female courses, and we actually had a quite a unique experience there, particularly for myself, where I co-facilitated one of the ladies' courses, which as a man that again gave me a completely different reality check from the female perspective. It was eye-opening for me, but also I was able to give them inside that group the male perspective of certain things and aspects, and they just went, we never thought that.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. Guys out there, if you're going to facilitate a female course, though, you've got to have your wits about you.
Yeah.
it is so rewarding, but as the co-facilitator, it is also a beautiful thing just to sit back and listen. It's great.
Yeah, fantastic. And just on that subject of mixed groups as well, because this actually, I wrote this course, and I never expected that mixed groups would become so popular. So just to clarify, anybody that's thinking that could be fireworks, well, we never put couples together. As a matter of policy, we never put couples together in a group. But increasingly, I would say probably 50% of our organisations now are delivering mixed groups. It's a great surprise to me. However, having been in a mixed group and facilitated a mixed group, it's actually really powerful. It's I think there's pros and cons both ways, and I've sort of come to a view that there isn't a right way. It just is great, whichever way you do it. You delivered a mixed group in Bundaberg, I believe, Richard, Kathy.
Yeah, we did, mate. And we've just in the process, we've had some grant money Cheryl's talking about, and we've employed a new community programs coordinator and looking at running as many groups as we can.
Wow.
People from right across the spectrum of our community. And it's great now to have connections with local domestic and family violence services that will actually refer people to us. Once you kind of proven that you're going to run things safely and effectively, they'll send men and women.
Wow.
Yeah, we're happy to do whatever we can, mate.
I love that because, you know, there was a time where churches did their own thing and almost tried to stay separate from community. But, you know, what you're talking about is community, churches, local government, all working together and doing that heavy lifting together. And that really excites me, that we're all on the same team. And even in your case, Richard, Kathy and Bundaberg's story, like, just seeing churches working together as well is remarkable. We've actually run out of time for our panel now, unfortunately, but it's been a fascinating discussion. And can I thank you and salute you for the amazing work that you're doing all over Australia, there in Victoria, the ACT and Bundaberg, Queensland. And to anyone else that's watching from other groups, why don't you give us a shout out from where you're watching from tonight? But thank you so much for all that you do. Thank you to your churches as well.
Thanks, Matt.
We are moving on now to just want to let you know, if you've just joined in, what we're doing tonight, and that is DV Prevention 360. So this is about having a national conversation about preventing domestic and family violence. And the best way to prevent something is before it even begins. That's kind of what prevention means. So we are putting early prevention back in the spotlight for the sake of everyone. And coming up, we're going to be talking prisons. We're going to be talking immigration detention. And we're also shortly going to be joined by a music artist who's he's going to be popping on real soon. But we'd like to have a look at, there's our tally, and wow, it looks like I better get my guitar ready. There's 1,825 that we've raised. Thank you so much for your investment in what we're doing, trying to get this program around Australia and just trying to get into more communities. I was just sharing earlier how sad it is when I have an inquiry from somebody in a rural or remote place, or even some of our major cities, just asking, where can I join a group? And for somebody to be that desperate to want to be a better version of themselves, and us to have to, send them away and say, I'm afraid there's nothing in your city yet. That's a pretty sad day. So let's take this further. We can do this together. We can lift this together, and we can lift that tally, I know. And if you are giving, I wonder if you just drop a comment in. You don't have to say how much you gave, but I wonder if that might just encourage some other friends just to get involved in this as well. So I wanted to introduce you now to our next guest. And before I do that, just on the screen, there's our banner where you can give at dv360.org. And don't forget, if we get to $10,000, I have to do a song. I have to perform a song. And I feel embarrassed saying that in front of our next guest, who's an incredible musician. This is the gentleman who turned 4 of the chairs on his blind audition on The Voice. And many of you will know him without needing much of an explanation. Chang Po Ching, joining us now. Now you actually have a gig tonight, Chang. So you've snuck out of a gig that you're doing at a wedding, which is just quite remarkable. So, mate, thank you so much. We so appreciate you sneaking out to to hop on. Why was this so important to you tonight?
Thanks for having me so much, brother. I'm sorry if there's that background noise. My brother's DJing in the background while I'm on my break. And but no, it's a beautiful cause. So I'm in the middle of whoop whoop, but we've got connection, which is amazing and the main thing. But yeah, I think we can never share enough awareness, no matter what the topic is. But I think this is it's such a big one and relevant one to all of us, whether we've gone through it, come through it, know people who are currently in certain situations. And sometimes it's a simple case of, you don't know what you know until, you realize you need to do something about it, or help a friend, or help yourself, help family, help your community. And so, I work in schools as a chaplain, so I see, DV related instances all the time. I come from a mental health background with youth work, juvie detention workshop facilitator, but blah blah blah. But I just feel like it's such a big need still to fight for it, to be an advocate for it, and share awareness as much as we can, whether it's through music, whether it's through art, through speaking, through workshops, whatever it may be. I'll always be a big supporter of whether it's intervention, prevention, or just being a listening ear.
Wow, that's fantastic, and it's amazing to have somebody of your caliber in one of our schools in what I would say is probably one of the tough areas of Logan in Queensland, and the work you do in there's incredible as a chaplain, as all of the chappies doing their thing in the schools. But Chang, you're going to share a song with us tonight. Would you like to tell us why you've chosen this particular song?
I'm going to try, if that's all right. If I don't, I hope I'm not cutting out for you guys. So I'll try and do a little portion for you guys at least. But
sure.
It's a well-known song, and so if you know it, feel free to sing along. I won't be able to hear you, but that's okay. Sometimes I feel I've got to run away. I've got to get away from the pain. You drive into the heart of me. The love we share seems to go nowhere, and I've lost my life, for I toss and turn, yes, I scream at night. Once I run from you, now I run from you. This tainted love you give, I give you all the love I need to take my tears and let's not give it up. Oh, tainted love. Oh, tainted love. It's just tainted love. It's just tainted love. Oh, tainted love. Oh, I know I've got to run away. I've got to get away. You don't really want any part of me, no, 'cause it's tainted love. Oh, it's tainted love, just tainted love. So I hope that came through.
Reception, but thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for all that you're doing in the schools with our precious young people. God bless you, mate. Excellent. What an inspirational guy. What a big voice, hey? And if we get to $10,000, we're going to find out whether I've got a voice at all. So absolutely amazing guy. And if you are if you're just joining us, of course, we're DV Prevention 360s tonight, talking about preventing domestic and family violence. We have had some amazing advocates and people giving their time generously. And there's a comment from Hamish Bolton, from a school chaplain. This is such a great initiative, and it's vital that we equip the many people in our communities stuck using ineffective and harmful strategies in their relationships. Great work, and great work you're doing there in Stanthorpe, Hamish, as well. We might have had some sound difficulties there by the look of it, but everything's back, and sorry about that with Chang dropping out there, but understandable if you knew where he was in that secret location in the country. So we're raising funds tonight. How's our tally going? We're getting up around close to the $2,000, $1,825 we're up to. $1,825, a good year. No, I'm not actually that old. But we'd love you all to dig deep tonight and help us get this to the communities that need it. Don't forget, if it's $10,000, which is our target, I'm feeling pretty safe right now. It doesn't look like I'm going to have to get the guitar out, but I would actually love to be able to do that if we do get to that $10,000 mark. So, and I just think of what we could do with that in terms of investment and getting this into more areas, not just in Australia but overseas. So so we've been in 7 states and territories in Australia now with the program, but still getting into more regional and remote areas would be a fantastic thing to be able to do. So please dig deep. If you're enjoying this, would you please like and please share and let your friends know about this important conversation that we're having tonight. We're getting close to the finish line, and we're now going to hear a pre-recorded story. I really wanted to have this guy join us tonight. Unfortunately, he was unavailable, but was gracious enough to let me pre-record an interview with another gutsy interview with a man that I'm very proud of, Jeff. So we're going to go straight to Jeff's story and hear from him.
Yeah, my name is Jeff, and my story, I was in a domestic violence relationship back in 2017, 2018. And during that time, there was a lot of domestic violence, control, and there was a DV order put on the relationship about 6 months into the relationship, and then further along into the relationship, the order got changed to a no contact order, which meant that I wasn't able to be around my fiance at the time, and but there was still that emotional connection there, so I still wanted to be around her and all that, but there was this order in place. So one night she ended up calling the cops. She just had enough of all the fighting and arguing, and that sort of led to me getting help. So from that point, I was chucked in remand for 9 days, and then I got out, and I was sort of on a bit of a journey for 2 years to sort of discover myself. And through that time, I did a responsible men's program out in Logan, and so that's a 16-week program to sort of help men with anger issues and whatnot. And so I ended up have to take that twice, because during that time I got I think towards the end of it, I think I only had 1 or 2 nights left, but I had to during that time I ended up getting chucked in immigration detention. So then I had to, when I got out, I had to go and complete it again. So during that time, I was still going through the court proceedings and whatnot, And it wasn't like during this time I was sort of like a bit of a self-discovery. I was sort of reading different books, reflecting on the relationship that was and how can I be better moving forward. But it wasn't until 2020 until I went to court, and that was my sentence day, and that was where I was going to find out what the outcome was going to be, if I was going to do jail time or a suspended sentence. But I ended up doing a jail time, which was 3 months, three months behind bars. And like through those 3 months, it was kind of a sobering time. It was a healing time where I could just have time with God and just be patient on myself. And on my last week there, that's when I sort of come to know about circuit breaker. One of the inmates there comes to me in the yard. He's like, "Have you heard of this circuit breaker?" I was like, "Never heard of it." So what? And he said, "Oh, you should check it out. It's a 10-week program, and it's run by a pastor. He's a Christian dude, and it's pretty good." So I was on my last week at the time. I still wasn't able to do it. So once I got out, I really wanted to do this course. So I think I looked around for a little bit, and then I sort of found the course, and then I think I signed up maybe a few months later or a few weeks later, and then yes, I did the Responsible Men's program, and it would have been a couple of years later I did the circuit breaker. And what really stood out to me was like how uplifting the circuit breaker was, and how every session or segment sort of just built upon itself. And it was just real loving, really encouraging, and really, and to be able to understand timeouts and to be able to understand that so simply, which is really cool. I think probably the most helpful was you're definitely in the timeouts, being able to recognize your timeout, and to know, like if you aren't able to recognize where to pull yourself in, or to bring yourself like in line, like you can easily be, get angry. So that was definitely something that really stood out to me. After completing the circuit breaker as a participant, I really wanted to, pay it forward, and because like for the 10 weeks, I was just really encouraged, and all the tools that you get is just, you really want to just help people. So like after I done it, I think I reached out to Matt at the time, and I think it wasn't until maybe like the following year, so maybe a year later, I was able to be a part of facilitating a circuit breaker. So I was calling around different churches, different buildings around my local area, and it was pretty cool because like one of the churches in Forest Lake, they were like so keen to help us out, like free, like that we didn't have to pay on the 10 sessions, and he was just so blessed to help with us, or help us to run that program. My first time running it, so I was a co-facilitator, and I was with another gentleman called Patrick, and it was cool, like just to learn his leadership style and just how we connected with the people. So it's really cool to be a part of that. So over the past 5 years, I've sort of been facilitating like different locations. And it's definitely been a great honor to just speak into people's lives, over these 6 years. And it's pretty cool, like these different locations that I've sort of been a part of, Logan, Springfield Lakes and then Ipswich. And it's cool to just meet the participants and connect with the other facilitators and just have fun for the 10 weeks. Yeah, it's definitely awesome. It's definitely really rewarding to see the people at the start, like they're really condemning themselves, they're beating themselves up. But, like seeing them each week and how they apply the tools and how they just feel so much lighter each week. It's definitely so rewarding as a facilitator. Like every year you see like domestic violence just getting worse and worse. And that's why it's kind of good to like have open discussions and that's why the circuit breaker is like good and how it gives you the tools and helps you to be a better father, better son, better brother, and just be better in your community.
Wow. Are you getting a taste of the kind of people that I get to have in my life? People that are so inspiring to me, guys like Jeff. What an amazing guy Jeff is. Has gone from prison to purpose. He's paying it forward in a massive way. Not content to just be a better version of himself, but to take lots of people with him. And here's a fun fact. Jeff mentioned that he initiated himself to do our facilitator training. And of course, we put him with some senior facilitators to mentor him. And Jeff now has the record of being the facilitator that has facilitated circuit breaker in the most locations in all kinds of different places. And he's been a really great gun for hire, actually. And he's gotten a lot of us out of some spots where we've just really needed somebody else to give us a hand. Those that have done the circuit breaker course and have watched our course videos might not realize that Jeff's actually in that small group shot. He's the man wearing the cap. He's always wearing a cap. But what an amazing guy he is. And what we're talking about tonight and what we're raising funds for are the Jeffs that are all around us everywhere, just waiting to be unwrapped. It's a little bit like the Christmas presents under the tree. A guy like Jeff that probably, well, let's just say, maybe at the start of his story, people couldn't see, all that there was inside him and what that man is now today, paying it forward. But there's a lot of stories like that. There's a lot of people that if we can just invest in them, if we can just do our part and play our part, both as maybe stepping up to think about facilitating, maybe you could be one of the people making these kinds of groups possible as a volunteer. Maybe you have an organisation, or maybe I have a feeling there are some people sitting there tonight that are looking at our target, and we're going to have a look at that amount that we're up to in a moment. But you're sitting there thinking, you know what, I could help them get up to that $10,000. I could easily give $1,000 or $2,000. If that's you, we're getting close to time, and there's still an opportunity to be a part of a giving miracle tonight, where we could be the miracle in somebody else's life, somebody like Jeff. And a story that I often tell, often use this analogy, that somebody once said, you can count the number of seeds in an orange, but you can never count the number of oranges in one seed. Just let that sink in for a moment. And when we're looking at a story like Jeff's story, we will never know, because that's a gift that keeps on giving. And Jeff continues to help facilitate generational change, people coming through our groups. There's little people looking up to them. There's other people that are being influenced by them, and their stories are changing. That's what generational community change looks like. And that's what you're investing in tonight if you're giving. So I'd encourage you, if you are giving, could you please leave a comment? You don't have to say how much you're giving, but it might just encourage other people, if you're giving, to see if they can dig deep and they can be part of the miracle. and I'll do my bit. I've been dared that if we get to 10K, I will sing a song. So, well, we'll see if I can sing, and it'll be really good to have that opportunity. I want to introduce you to another friend of mine right now as we get into our final segment tonight, which is about domestic violence and corrections. So we're looking at prisons, we're looking at immigration detention centres, and who better to talk to tonight than my good friend Peter Fulcher. He's currently working in the construction sector, but also as a prison chaplain in Queensland. And he's also been a facilitator of multiple circuit breaker programs in the Brisbane Immigration Detention Centre. So welcome, Peter, and thanks for joining us tonight, mate.
Oh, thanks for inviting me, mate.
It's good to have you, mate, and thank you for what you're doing in the prisons and for what you've done in immigration detention. I'm hearing particularly from prisons, Peter. I don't know whether you're hearing similar numbers, but some of our prisons are reporting that as many as 80% of prisoners are there on DV breaches, and that those numbers are even higher for immigration detention. But what are you seeing, mate?
I'm hearing the same. Yeah, it's
yeah.
The numbers are staggering. It's and you just sort of look at some of the residents. It's hard to take sometimes when you hear their stories, but it's an honour to be able to serve in that space to the best of, just to offer some moral, psychological, spiritual support, however it comes. Yeah.
Great. And something that struck me when I remember the first time that I had the opportunity to go into a prison, it was very sobering for me, and really, I suppose what I was really struck with was the fine line. Peter, you know my story, and I have a background in, unfortunately, my own regrettable decisions and mistakes that I made early in my marriage in the area of abuse and control and ultimately domestic violence. And I looked around that prison and I thought, I could easily have been here. And as you know, Peter, a lot of the guys that we see in jail are otherwise ordinary guys that just had one bad day as well. So I think people miss that human side, don't they, mate?
Correct. It's looking from the outside when you don't understand like the stories. They've got a stigma, and it's very hard for to get rid of that stigma. But like you say, they are just ordinary blokes. Quite often I find when I'm hearing their stories that it's either from a history, a family history, where that's all they've known, or it's overworked. And, especially coming from the construction industry, I see a lot of it, and I guess that's what initiated me to follow Matt and the Circuit Breaker program and become a facilitator, because I just see it so much where people are just overworked and they just don't know how to, I guess, contain their frustrations, for want of a better word.
Yeah, and we've been talking tonight already about, and certainly people in construction understand that we can only use the best tools that we have in our toolbox, can't we? And it's not an excuse, though, for, I suppose people like myself who had to learn that if you don't have the tools, then the responsibility is still yours to go and find better tools. But that's still a reality, isn't it, until we get help. You've just heard Jeff's story. How typical would that be for prisoners to be seeking help with something like DV? Because I think the stigma out there is, these are monsters and they can never change and they never want to change. But how typical do you think it is that prisoners are wanting to better themselves?
In my experience, the large percentage would be seeking some form of help. Unfortunately, you do get those that don't see that it's their fault, for example, and they keep blaming someone or something else. However, the large proportion or percentage, I would say, do genuinely regret where they've come from and are looking for some form of support. There are programs in the prison system. Circuit breaker yet isn't in there that I know of. I think they used to be, but it's in the prison systems. They are looking for supports for programs. Some of them are telling me that there aren't many programs for that in there. That's what I've been told. And they get a little bit frustrated. So, but that's more for sort of corrections. I don't know the full story. I'm just saying from what the residents themselves are saying.
And you've been involved in the Brisbane Immigration Detention Centre there, delivering circuit breaker, was probably 2 or 3 times there, I think. And of course, the difference with immigration detention is that they're allowed to have technology. So they have phones and computers, and it's a lot easier to deliver a program.
Correct.
And like I said before, I'm hearing higher percentages of people that are in there for DV. I'm actually hearing, when I was speaking to staff there, I was hearing it's like about 90%.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And it's the program, like the circuit breaker program, is brilliant for the detention centre. The blokes love it. And when, like you were saying before, like with Jeff's story, for example, when they've gone through it, they're the blokes that genuinely want to, because they've seen how it's changed their lives, they genuinely want to become facilitators to be able to pass that on and help other blokes in the same scenarios.
Yeah, that's right. And I've had the privilege of visiting our programs in prison when we were in Barellan Correctional Centre, and also in the 2 detention centres that we were involved in, so Brisbane Immigration Detention Centre and Villawood Detention Centre in Sydney. And in both places, I continued to, as you say, I continued to meet men that were they were passionate about sharing this with their children. That it wasn't just their own change, but they couldn't wait to get out and teach it to their kids, so that they didn't have to repeat the same mistakes.
Awesome.
Just quite heartwarming, but at the same time sad, because you've done the crime. Unfortunately, you got to finish the time. But I was really personally surprised with that eagerness that I saw. Do you see any problems with that prisoners will face when they're trying to attend programs?
There are some that say that they've put their names down, but for whatever reason, they are not granted access to programs. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes and whether, but I am getting that a little bit. And so I just, just encourage them just to keep pursuing it. And of course, I promote the circuit breaker program for when they get out. So, and they always take a keen interest in that. So, because there are those ones that I've found that, especially at the detention centre, that thought that this might be a ticket out. When I love the way that we have to screen the people, and to make sure that they are serious about pursuing and going through with the program to better themselves. And in the past, I've had to sort of knock some blokes back because there was the wrong motive.
Yeah.
And they thought that they could use this program to sort of give them tickets in the court systems to get them out. But if someone is genuinely wanting to better themselves and they make that serious commitment, because it's a 10-week commitment, and you see the change, and it's so rewarding. After the first couple of weeks, maybe the blokes are very cautious about the group setting, but then you see them opening up over the weeks, and the other blokes supporting each other, and it's just good to see. So good to see.
Just seeing a comment coming through there from Serene. It's prisoners are encouraged to work in prison, and sometimes that makes it hard for them to access programs. That is true, isn't it? There's often clashes with other work programs and other courses.
Yeah.
And just to take up on that point, because I'm sure there's some people feeling cynical and thinking, it's easy to pretend and act like you want to change when you're in prison, and you think that doing a course could leverage your situation, and particularly in immigration detention. But what people might not realise is that people sign a form and they are fully aware that we are policy bound to never give them a certificate. We never provide paperwork. We never provide references. And we also have very frank and bold conversations with prison staff and immigration detention that they're not to offer any incentives whatsoever. Otherwise, we'll pull the program, because we're that serious about quality control that people that are there are the right people in the room. I'll never forget going to one of the major prisons in Queensland, and I was invited there to come and talk about programs. They said, we've been invited to share with the prisoners that are in there on life sentences. And there were maybe a dozen of us going in talking about different programs. And I thought, I wonder what this would be like. It's my first time ever walking into a prison. Well, there'll probably be 12 of us, and there'll probably, there'll be 12 guys that are in there for life that actually want to hear about courses or self-improvement. Well, I didn't walk into a little boardroom as I was expecting. I walked into a dining hall, and there were 60, and that's just men that were there on life sentences. And they were all dead serious about what can we do to better ourselves. And that I was really moved by that. And leaving that prison that day, I actually got a bit of a tear in my eye, and I thought to myself, it's not fair that I'm allowed to leave here, and I'm just like a hair away from being that guy that is there, that just had a really bad day, didn't keep his cool, and just escalated just that little bit more than I did. It really struck me, and it really struck me how much a lot of these people are really desperately seeking change. And there's a role there for local churches, isn't there, to as you say, you're referring to prisoners that can't do the program in prison at the moment because of technology, but can certainly look, and when they come out, it's so critically important that they land in a supportive group, isn't it, mate?
Correct. And they are looking for something to improve themselves, because a lot of them are genuinely remorseful and regret what they've done. They hurt severely because they can't have access or see their families, especially their kids. I think that one probably hurts the most, the fact that they can't see their kids. And it may be from looking from the outside, we don't sort of see that side of it. But the blokes genuinely love their families. love their kids, and because of some miscalculation, some bad day or whatever it is, they've been restricted from access or seeing their families, and it does hurt. And especially if it might be, to some degree, it might have been a minor issue. I'm not minimizing in any form.
No.
And if they breached it because the partner wanted to talk to them when they got out on bail, for example, and they end up back behind bars. And that hurts a lot, and you can sort of understand why.
We are out of time, Peter, but thank you for what you bring tonight, just being able to speak into both of those spaces with immigration detention and prisons. And thank you so much for the good work you're doing with these precious people and connecting them with help on the outside. And let's hope that tonight more people are inspired to get up and be that set of gloves to catch these people when they're released, and to to help them with that sliding doors moment that can just profoundly change their life. Thanks so much, Peter.
Thanks for all you're doing too. God bless.
It's my pleasure, mate. God bless you. And fantastic. So thank you for joining us tonight for DV Prevention 360. This is not the end. There's our total amount raised. And wow, I just want to thank everybody that's given so far to this tonight, $2,475, which is powerful. That's going to change lives. Our target was 10,000, and that's still our target because, as you know, with Facebook Live and YouTube Live and Instagram, these things will stay up for a time. And I would really love it if you could share if you've enjoyed tonight. Maybe you just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to get weird before you shared it with your friends. Well, now you can share it on your wall, and please, let's share this around because this is such a worthwhile conversation. There's so much good that we can do in this early prevention space, and you've seen tonight what that can look like in terms of generational change, in terms of changing whole communities, just as individuals are changed, and those lives change other lives. Those knock-on effects. Thank you to all of you that have given tonight, and thank you to those who will see this recording and will give. And we just encourage you, please give. And I'll tell you what, I'll be true to my promise. If this and if we do reach that target, I will get back on here and we will do a special song, and we'll have another little chat as well, of course. But thanks again. And if you got more questions and comments, you can still post those after the event and as you come back here. And some kind comments there about me singing, but that's not going to happen tonight because we had a deal. And the moment we get to that target, I'll be happy to do that. Thank you. Please share, please like, and please check out our website. Could I encourage you to become a regular sponsor, as I have been for 25 years? And just a small amount every month can make such a massive difference over the long term. And I find that when you're locked into a program of regular giving, you just don't even feel it anymore. But I certainly feel it when I hear the stories. I feel it every time because I know that I've got skin in the game, and I'd love you to join me on that journey. God bless you. Have a great night. And thanks for all that you're doing. Thanks for being a part of DV Prevention 360.